the end of it.
Wow.
Yeah. Just
that bad?
I want it gone. I want it just gone.
Just gone.
Just gone.
All right. Well.
What about you? Best, worst? Well, no,
I think the best is the personal stuff with friends and family and having good times.
Yeah.
And worst was, well, family departures.
Yeah.
That's always hard to deal with.
That's always a really, really tricky one, isn't it?
But one departure I will be able to deal with is mine, because I'm going to be back tomorrow.
You're back tomorrow, though?
Yeah, I'm back
I'll see you then.
So there we go. So I'm going to be back, as I said, tomorrow from 7 o'clock. So very much hope you join me then. Meanwhile, stay with us on Talk for all those revelations. That's coming up with Petrie Hosken next.
I spoke with His Majesty the King to request the dissolution of Parliament, and we will have a general election on the 4th of July.
I have just returned from Buckingham Palace to form the next government of this great nation.
Take a look at what happened.
I immediately knew it was very serious, that we were under attack.
The time has come, and this surely is England's time. Williams, who scores, and Spain lead. A shot from distance is in. It is Cole Palmer. Low ball in on Palmer, slides it in.
An absolute killer of a goal.
I agree with the protest, but I don't think the violence was anywhere near necessary.
No, I mean, I don't think anyone, Nigel, would ever think that the violence was the answer at all.
אזרחי ישראל, אנחנו במלחמה.
I probably took a bullet to the head because of the things that they say about me.
If Donald Trump were president, Putin would be sitting in Kyiv right now.
In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in, they're eating the cats.
Liberal left couldn't understand that this man could be anything other than the great newsreader, a man of integrity.
Is it possible in any way, shape or form that Keir Starmer didn't...
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on the app, on your mobile, the home of common sense. This is Talk.
Can't hear myself. Oh, there we are. There we are. That was good, wasn't it? First moment back. Hello there. It's really... Well, I say it's really good to be back. It doesn't feel like I went away for very long. I know it was 10 days, but it doesn't feel like 10 days, does it, over Christmas? I think weird happens to time. But anyway, I am thrilled to be back with you. And just while on that point, tomorrow, it being New Year's Eve, I've never presented a New Year's Eve show before in my life. And so this year, instead of doing a show somewhere else in the day, I said to the boss, I want to do my own show. I want to do a New Year's Eve. So anything could happen tomorrow, but the most important thing is that normally I do nothing New Year's Eve because I hate it. So if you are one of those people and you don't plan to go out and you don't plan to be doing any of those things, join me, because it will be random. I don't even really understand what's happening yet, but it will be a new year that you will be part of. You are the centre of it, because I'm you. I'm normally at home doing nothing. So I wanted to do it this year so that you could be at home and join in. So this will be your party. So if anybody asks you what you're doing on New Year's Eve, just go, I have got a party to go to, thank you. And you'll be busy with me, hopefully. So that's coming up tomorrow, and we're all actually really quite excited about it. I'm the only one that has to say stay sober, though. which is a shame. But anyway, let's talk about what's happening on this show. And coming up, the phone in, like I was saying to James, I've had enough of this year. I've had enough. I don't know about you. So I really want to talk to you about what has been your highlight, what has been your low light, what you've, of the worst thing to have happened, the best thing to have happened, even if it's something really silly. Maybe you hit your goal in weight loss. Maybe you stopped drinking. Maybe you were able to stop gambling. I don't know, whatever it was. Or maybe the worst thing was you weren't able to stop that. Whatever the situation is, whatever you're thinking about, a row with the family, making up with the family, maybe it's something political, like winter fuel allowance, or maybe it's something else. I don't know. You tell me, what has been the best or the worst about 2024? Like I said, I think the best thing for me is that it's ending. I don't think 24 had anything to write home about in terms of, stuff. So here's hoping that 25 is going to be brilliant. But let's do that at midnight. So I would love you to call in and let me know. Vincent Moss is going to be here, former political editor, to go through the front pages for tomorrow. Vicky Mitzi will be joining us to talk about some podcasts that will take you through the day up until 10 o'clock tomorrow, because you've got a party to go to. So I want you to wear your dresses. I want you to dress up and send me photographs as well. So that'll be good, and we can put them out on the telly. Why not? Why not? Who's going to stop me? Nobody else is around. Bosses will all be at their own parties, getting drunk. Why not? Send me photographs. Or even of your cats or dogs dressed up for New Year. Oh, I'm bringing the dog in as well, by the way. Bailey will be here. I might even put a tuxedo on him. You never know. So, the dog will be in as well. We've also got Alex Three Lines Irons this evening. He's going to be talking us through this sport. And, of course, the transfer window will be open soon, won't it? A couple of days. So, we'll be looking at that as well. But before that, as I was saying to James, I've been reading this book, Who Will Defend Europe? And just in case you think that I made up that I've been reading it, let me show you. There's pages that have got, you probably can't see it, that I've put highlighter all over it. I've folded corners. I've been looking through. There we go, there's another bit of proof there. Is that too bright? You can see it there. There you go. I have actually read it. Oh, it's wrong way around. So just proof that I have actually been reading this book. I didn't quite finish it, but I have got 3/4 of the way through it. It is absolutely brilliant and terrifying in equal measure. And we're talking about who will defend Europe. Now, it's easy, isn't it? You just go, well, look, we got NATO. NATO will do the job. Surely that's the whole point of NATO, isn't it? To attack one is to attack all. But what is an attack? That's question number one. We've already seen Russia pushing its boundaries in a way that 5 years ago would not have been accepted, right? There's been bombs put on cargo planes. There's been, mysterious hacking. There's been wires cut under the ocean, or things like that under the ocean. All of these things, is that an attack? Well, NATO can go, no, that's not it at all. More information on NATO when I speak to Giles. The outcome of the presidential election, of course, has decided Ukraine's future and therefore our future. I think we need to speak to Giles because the most interesting point is about how Russia, for me, is testing NATO to see if it's got any teeth at all. And the question is, has it? And can it bite back? The book is called Who Will Defend Europe? An Awakened Russia and a Sleeping Continent. And it's written by Keir Giles, who joins me now. Keir.
Hello, Petrie. Good evening.
Hi, good evening to you. Like I was saying, I did need to prove that I have actually read the lion's share of this book because I know a lot of people in my position don't. But I have actually read through it, and some of it was stuff that I didn't know. And I like to think of myself as being fairly well informed about defence and about, strategies and things like that. But for me, the biggest question has always been NATO and NATO's potential response. The fact that NATO hasn't even got it written down what they would do if there was a small nuclear weapons used against Ukraine, I think is terrifying, that they haven't planned any response to that. But when we look at NATO, how much is Putin testing it right now?
There's a great deal of testing going on all the while, but just on that point you made, Petrie, about you being well informed but still surprised by things that are in the book. I mean, I wouldn't like to write a book that contains things that everybody already knows, but it was interesting for me that after the book was published, I got calls from friends and colleagues who work for military intelligence agencies and defense research think tanks in friendly countries that said that they had been surprised by what was in the book, particularly the bits looking at military capability across Europe, across NATO in Europe. And this came as a surprise to me because I thought it was their job to understand these things. But they said, no, they look at Russia, they look at the enemy, they look at what Russia is preparing to do. They don't look at their own side. They don't look at friendly forces, allies. By and large, they take it on trust that what those allies say about what they've got in their militaries is more or less true. So when you do a survey across Europe and it turns out that there's a big gap between what is claimed and what is actually available, and one of the biggest gaps is actually here in the UK, that comes as a bit of a shock for people who are looking for what forces are going to be on their side if Russia does finally push its luck too far. So there is bad news all the way around when it comes to NATO, even before you get to that point you're talking about of Putin testing exactly what NATO's response will be. Now, some people think the stepping up of this sabotage campaign in the Baltic Sea now that you referred to, the cable cutting, is actually one means by which Russia could try to trigger a conversation in NATO about whether or not to respond, which is exactly where Russia wants NATO to be, because if the answer comes back, no, NATO isn't going to help its foremost allies that are faced with Russian aggression, then, of course, the whole point of NATO evaporates and Russia has won.
Well, I mean, I have to come to that point in just a moment, but I just wanted to, when you talk about our military preparedness across Europe, the most astonishing, I think, to me, was that the Netherlands have gone from 1,000 tanks to 12. I mean, this is the sort of 12, 1, 2. This is the sort of thing that you're talking about, is that for so long during peace, it has been easy for every country, really, to say, look, we'll put that on the back burner. We're not going to bother with that. We'll get rid of that and we won't replace it. But that, to me, was the figure that stood out. That just made me go,
it's not even their tanks. They borrowed they leased
borrowed
them
that 12.
You know. But I mean, think what's happening in the UK. We've known for a long time that ceremonial duties mean the British Army has more horses than tanks. If current plans continue, there'll be 3 times as many horses as tanks. And it's a phrase that comes up again and again when people are talking about the British military, particularly our friends in NATO. There are 2 phrases, actually, hollowed out and for show. So much of the military capability we have is the flashy elements, but without the underpinning capabilities and enablers that make everything work if they actually have to go to war. It's a refrain that comes back again and again when people are thinking, how would NATO forces, particularly the European ones, the bonsai militaries, actually stand up if they were tested in the way that Ukraine's military forces are being tested every day now?
It is, at the moment, it would appear, I'm reading something today as well, that NATO is in what they're calling a boiling frog situation, that Russia is pushing its boundaries in a way that really would not have been at all acceptable 5 years ago, but they're still doing it. And the other thing that astounded me actually in this book is the very real prospect that Russia could go a step further in taking a bit of land, just a little bit of land, from a NATO country and saying, right, we're stopping there, to see if NATO would respond to that. And the general consensus is that NATO wouldn't respond to that. That's terrifying.
Just on that first point, there's plenty of terrifying news to go around, I'm afraid. on that first point, are things being done now that 5 years ago would have been inconceivable? I think I may have read the same comment piece that you did, and I don't think it's completely accurate, because Russia has been doing these things that ought to have been completely unacceptable for far longer than most people have been paying attention. In fact, that was the subject of the previous book I wrote. It was called Russia's War on Everybody. It's that one there, and it was about these campaigns of arson and sabotage and murder across Europe and the rest of the world, in fact, and how they affect ordinary people. So there have been warlike acts carried out by Russia over a long period of time, which Western countries have decided it is easier to ignore. And that's the reason why we have all of these adjectives warfare, like hybrid warfare, like gray zone warfare, all of these different new kinds of war that are supposed to have been invented by Russia. The adjective in front of warfare means you can pretend it's something you don't really know what it is and don't really know how to respond to. Whereas if you recognize what these things are, acts of war, then you're faced with difficult political choices about how exactly to respond.
But isn't that the point of NATO? I mean, I've been asking what's the point of the United Nations for quite some years. But what about NATO? And I was absolutely gobsmacked to learn that an attack on one is not an attack on all. That there is a get-out clause with NATO that countries, even countries like America, can say, no, we're not getting involved. That blew my mind. Is it Article 5 that they talk about? Article 5, which reads, such action as is deemed necessary. So if America deem it not necessary to respond, if Trump deems it not necessary to respond to a direct attack, let's say on the UK or on Poland more likely, they don't have to get involved. In fact, none of them do. That, to me, what is the point of NATO?
That's exactly right. And that vagueness, of course, of that Article 5 commitment in the North Atlantic Treaty is what keeps people on side, but also is the key vulnerability for NATO as well. Because in that scenario that you were talking about, the idea that Russia could take a slice of land in, for example, one of the Baltic states, move forward 30 kilometers from the border with Belarus, for example, which takes you into the center of Vilnius, the capital of Lithuania, and then say to NATO, come and get us and we'll nuke you. That puts NATO capitals in the choice between surrender and nuclear war. And Russia's calculation might be that they will choose surrender. And again, Russia has won because NATO evaporates. Now, all of those scenarios were off the table for so long because NATO did the right thing in the previous decade. After the seizure of Crimea, they thought this was a possibility in the Baltic states. They put forward contingents from different countries called enhanced forward presence in the 3 Baltic states and Poland, including British troops in Estonia and in Poland itself, for example. So that scenario was off the table because Russia could not do anything there without the rest of NATO being immediately involved. Now, all of those ideas have come roaring back, particularly because people have looked at political developments in the US and that rock-solid US commitment to European security, which everybody's taken for granted for the last 80 years, is no longer quite so indubitable. And people are wondering whether, in fact, if push comes to shove, they would get that US support.
We've also, I was interested to read about the JEF, the Joint Expeditionary Force as well, which seems to be not only more mobile, but more able to respond to things that NATO may not respond to. It's a joining up of several countries, but it's not in the NATO bloc. But what concerned me about that is, if Britain is part of that, doesn't that spread, and other countries are part of that, doesn't that spread soldiers even more thinly? If you've got JEF doing one thing and NATO trying to do another, how can they work, not together, but you know what I mean? How does that work?
That ought not to be a problem. Not like the EU, for example, setting up its vanity military projects and parallel headquarters, which would dilute and divert forces. The JEF would, in fact, work. In effect, now the JEF is a subset of NATO because originally when it was set up, Finland and Sweden, which are core members, were not part of NATO. Now they are. But the tasks that the JEF does are different from what NATO does. The problem there is a different one, and it is to do with the UK being the lead nation and the framework nation for the whole organization. That means these other countries rely on the UK to provide a lot of the backbone of the organization. and it's not stepping up to the job. This most recent Jeff Leader summit that we had in Tallinn saw Keir Starmer walking out halfway through. So you had the Estonian Prime Minister sitting on stage saying, well, we'll answer questions for the UK, and he was only half joking. It's one of those areas of defence where, again, the UK is asleep at the wheel, and the partners and allies that look to the UK and thought of the UK previously as the military heavyweight that would come to the rescue now understand that they have to look elsewhere.
And of course, Putin's watching all of this and is incredibly aware of our fears and our weaknesses, and all he has to say is nuclear bomb, and it seems that NATO just, bows down and lets Putin do what he wants with it. I mean, it's just extraordinary to me. Where is this powerhouse that is meant to protect the world?
Well, it was supposed to be the United States, but we had a US problem even before Trump was on the horizon, because progressively over time, the United States' attention has been pulled away from Europe, and that commitment to European security, which was absolutely fundamental to how the United States viewed global security, is no longer quite as strong because there's all this competition with other problems around the world. The US is looking to China and now to the Middle East as well, both of which they see as more urgent and immediate security problems for themselves than Russia trying to rebuild its empire.
The idea of save it for China, so don't get involved, just keep it...
Save it for China, or deal with the problems in the Middle East by protecting Israel in the way that they have absolutely refused to protect Ukraine. The choice, the difference in how they've responded to those two crises is very, very stark and underlines how Israel is a core strategic interest for the United States, but Europe isn't.
But that's a huge mistake for the US, because if the US withdraws, and you cover this in your book as well, that if the US withdraws, it becomes smaller. I mean, nobody's going to share military intelligence with them. They're not going to trust them, and not to mention the trading relationship with the US and the EU. Surely somebody is telling Trump this. Look, actually, Europe matters. It matters to you.
Possibly, but of course what messages get through to Trump and how he responds to them is a separate question altogether. The US hasn't made this commitment to European security over the decades because of altruism, because it's being generous with its time and resources. It's because Europe is such a key economic trading partner, so Europe being stable and secure is actually in US economic interests. Now that argument, of course, has faded with the arrival of Trump, and of course with this competition for attention and resources from all of these different theaters around the world. But let's be clear, it's not Trump's fault that Western European militaries and governments have simply allowed themselves to atrophy by not paying attention to their own defenses, by relying on this US security blanket so much that they've faded away almost to nothing.
Just finally, there was another point that actually annoyed me massively, and that is that the EU, being the EU, this is also going to hamper the rebuilding of stocks and supplies of military weapons, has said that 50% of all weapons that are bought have got to be EU made. I mean, look, I understand, right, the keeping the economy flowing, but if it comes to weaponry, you just want the best and you want it quickly, don't you? I mean, how the EU saying no by this year, was it 2050, 2030, that they need everything, 50% of it needs to be EU made. That is just mind-blowingly stupid.
There are different figures, and that has evolved slightly since the book was published. It's been relaxed slightly, but still, if you're Poland and you're buying as much as you can and as fast as you can from the US, from South Korea, from all of the arms suppliers that are actually in a position to help you, then yes, this is a major problem, and it's generated by Brussels.
Unbelievable. I mean, the stupidity and the stupidity. Listen, I loved your book, Keir, genuinely, and I'd love to speak to you again if that's okay with you. I really enjoyed it.
Absolutely, by all means, Petrie.
Thank you. So that was absolutely brilliant. Who will defend Europe? Well, it's definitely not going to be Netherlands, is it? With 12 borrowed tanks. An awakened Russia and a sleeping continent by Keir Giles. Absolutely fantastic. Got to take a quick break. Back in a second.
across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on the app, on your mobile, the home of common sense. This.
Hello there, good evening. Look, New Year's Eve is being cancelled by health and safety all over the country, but not here. Not here. Right here, we've got a party that you're invited to. I've never done a New Year's Eve before, so I really, really wanted to, and I want you to feel part of it. So it's going to be taking calls all the way through. It's going to be a little bit silly, I think, probably. And I've got to find something sparkly to wear. And that's going to be very difficult because I'm not a sparkly person, but I will try to find something. So please do join me and some other weird and wonderful people who will be here in the studio for the New Year's Eve party that you're invited to. Get dressed up, send me photographs of your animals dressed up or not dressed up. Some silly photos. I can show you one. Bailey's going to be in, actually. So I've got a little tuxedo. It's like a little collar that he can wear. So I'm going to put that on him. So, yeah, he's going to be dressed up for the occasion, just for you. So that's coming up tomorrow night. But at midnight, I want to talk to you about 2024. What has been the best thing or the worst thing about 2024 as we finally kiss it goodbye? I mean, news-wise, I think it's the busiest year. I mean, how many people were taking part in elections in 2024? It's the biggest ever number. So there was all the elections, the American election, which of course we covered here. There was the British election. So there's all of those things. The news was relentless. It just didn't stop. So you could talk to me about that. You could tell me who your idiot of the year is. I think I could take a bit of a guess on that one. Who's the most disappointing of the year? Who the biggest fall from grace in the year? It's got to be Keir Starmer, isn't it? He could answer quite a lot of these. I think that would be the thing. You could message me about it, but I would prefer it if you rang. What was your highlight of 2024? And like I said, it could be something personal. It could be something to do with your family. It could be getting over an addiction. It could be any of those things. I don't mind what it is. Just give me a call and let's chat about what was good and, indeed, what was bad about 2024. Hypocrite of the year? Again, that's Keir Starmer, isn't it? I don't want it just to be Keir Starmer for everything, but it might be. He won't be sexiest man of the year, though. Do you know who sexiest man of the year was? Genuinely, sexiest man of the year. He beat Tom Holland to the title of sexiest man of the year. Jeremy Clarkson. Jeremy Clarkson. And as one, I won't steal this line without giving it its proper due attention. It was written by Sarah Vine. He has a face like a melted candle, which I loved. I thought it was a great description. Sexiest man of the year. I know. They didn't ask me. Guilty pleasure of the year. Got that as well down here. The worst excuse of the year. Come on, let's have a look, have a think about any of these. Attention seeker of the year. There's quite a few, aren't there? There are quite a few of those. So I really want to hear just a bit of a light phone in. Come on, we don't need to do the serious stuff, not at the end of the year. We need to have a look and see what we think was the best and the worst, or the most irrelevant of the year, the has-been of the year. Won't surprise you who Sarah's chosen for that. Damp squib of the year. There's all of these things we can talk about. So I want you to give me a call. 0344 499 1000. Calls charged at network rate. And you can text the word talk and then your message to 87222. So take part. We've got a full hour of just having a bit of fun. Just a bit of light touch at the end of the year. Come on, it's been a grim old year, hasn't it? Even if you've got a highlight, I bet you have to think about it a bit. I'm trying to think what mine would be. Nope. Quick break, back in a sec.
across the UK. On DAB+, on YouTube, on the app, on your mobile. The home of common sense. This is Talk.
Hello there, and a good evening to you. This is Talk, and it's Petrie here with you until New Year's Eve, tomorrow. Not the whole day, obviously. I finish at 1 o'clock. And we're going to be looking at what your best and worst of 2024 have been. And joining us now is Alex, 3 Lions Irons, who, of course, he's been one of the best. 24. And we're looking back at the world of sport. Now, what's been your best or worst?
Good evening, Petrie.
Good
My
evening.
best or worst, being I was going to say the worst thing. Then that's a complete lie. The best thing is being on a Monday with you every week. That's the highlight of my week, of course. That needed no explaining at all.
None.
The worst.
Not being with me Tuesday and Wednesday.
Yeah, not being with you for the rest of the week. I think it's a real downer on my week.
I know. Listen, I get it. You're only human. Look, we're talking about Gareth Southgate, and we've got some breaking news on Gareth Southgate, haven't you?
Yes, we have. So the New Year's honours list has been announced. It got announced 3 minutes ago. And Gareth Southgate is set to become Sir Gareth Southgate. He'll be knighted for services to association football after leading England to the finals of the Euros in 2020 and in 2024. So we'll be Arise Sir Gareth Southgate on the 1st of January.
Arise Sir Second Place Gareth Southgate.
Yeah, but second place twice. That's just as good as a first, I think. We've also got MBEs, OBEs and CBEs for a lot of the Olympians and Paralympians that won gold and won medals at the Olympics, which we'll touch on a little bit later. And
I'm absolutely thrilled that my elected head of the table at my imaginary dinner party, Stephen Fry, has also been made a Sir.
Yes,
of course.
I think everyone's happy with this because Stephen Fry is a magnificent actor, comedian, and human being.
And basically a brilliant human being. I love him, and I'm so thrilled. London Mayor Sadiq Khan getting a knighthood. What for?
For being the Mayor of London, I guess. I mean, that's not what I'm complaining about because I voted for him anyway. So I wouldn't have voted for him to get a knighthood. Just me on my own.
Do you know what? I've never met anyone else who voted. I swear to you, I've never.
No one talks about it. That's the thing. Everyone just goes,
embarrassed.
No, I don't know what you're talking about. I just admit it. I've got nothing to be ashamed of.
It's like Labour voters now. Keir Starmer, no, I didn't. No, I didn't vote Labour. Somebody did.
I did. I'm in the constituency where they won by 14 votes, so I'm happy.
Are you?
I am.
All right, let's talk.
I was going to say, I've got a very, very quick Stephen Fry story, seeing as he's become a Sir, and I think you'd quite like it. I went to a filming of QI about 10, 11 years ago, and you go in and it's all exciting. I'd never done it before, and the main producer-director comes out and goes, right, before every show, we normally have someone come on who warms the crowd up. He's quite new at this. He's a bit nervous, so be kind to him. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Stephen Fry. And Stephen Fry walks out on his own and does a 20-minute kind of warm-up set for everyone else for QI for the main filming of the show. And I was just like, hang on, we've got a free show for 20 minutes of just Stephen Fry on his own.
That is amazing.
Brilliant.
Yeah, I went to the Albert Hall and saw just Stephen Fry talking for a couple of hours, which was very good. It was absolutely amazing. Anyway, let's talk sport.
Yes, that's why I'm here.
So, Sir Gareth Southgate and the future of the 3 Lions. So, you know, what is it looking like in 2025?
So it is a rise, Sir Gareth, but that could have not been the case as England nearly crashed out the Euros, of course, in the run to the dramatic final against Spain. They saw off Slovakia, they saw off the Netherlands and Switzerland as well on penalties in the quarter-final, only to lose to Spain, of course, very in dramatic style. In the final, I was at a pub near where I live with a friend of mine who wore her Spanish shirt underneath her England shirt because she's Spanish but supported both, so didn't mind who won anyway. But we do have a new manager taking charge in 2025. We had Lee Carsley take over during the Nations League just for that run of 6 games, just to see England through They needed to win most of their games to be promoted, and they were easily enough. But from the 1st of January, so on Wednesday, England have a brand new manager. We know him. We may or may not love him, but here's what he had to say about taking the England job.
I'm passionate about football, and like we said before, this
no.
There he goes. Is he going to say
He was there and he was talking.
He was
Thomas
talking,
Tuchel,
but in term for radio, tell us what you said.
Yes, so Thomas Tuchel will be announced as the new England manager from the 1st of January. He is, of course, the former Chelsea and Bayern Munich manager. He has signed an 18-month contract until the end of the 2026 World Cup, which will be happening over in the States, Canada and Mexico. He becomes the third non-British permanent manager of the men's team after Sven-Göran Eriksson, who, of course, will be not seeing the new year into as he tragically passed away earlier this year. And Fabio Capello, the Italian manager who took us to the quarterfinals in 2010, I believe.
Well, listen, I think we've got him now, so let's have a listen.
Okay.
I'm passionate about football, and like we said before, this task and this role just brought the young me alive, and it brought back my teenage days, to get excited for such a big task, for the Three Lions, for playing matches at Wembley, for working with this group of players. So everyone can be assured that we will do it with passion and with emotions, and we will try to install values and principles and rules as quickly as possible to make the dream come true.
A German.
I'm quite looking forward to this, actually.
In charge of an English team. Who would have thought?
But it doesn't matter. If he's the right man for the job and he wins England the World Cup in 2020...
Do you know what? I love the German accent as well. I absolutely love it when they speak.
I think I love all accents.
Yeah,
I don't know. I think getting a bit older, I've just gone, ooh, is that a new voice I hear? I quite like the sound of that.
Yeah.
Whereas when I was a bit younger, I was a bit like, oh, what's that voice?
Right, so England football in safe hands, you think?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay.
He won the World Cup, not the World Cup. He won the Champions League with Chelsea in 2021. He's a born winner. He didn't quite win the Bundesliga with Bayern last season, but won it the year before. He knows how to win competitions. He knows how to win tournaments in knockout football. And I think he's going to get the best out of this England team.
Wonderful. The Olympics and medals.
Yeah, it essentially became the Snoop Dogg show, actually, during the during the Olympics,
the equestrian
which you may remember. He was all over the place. But during the tournament of the Olympics themselves, you had the likes of Alex Yee and Bryony Page. They were the flag bearers at the end of the closing ceremony for Great Britain. They were a part of the Great British side that finished 7th in the medals table, winning 14 golds, 22 silver and 29 bronze. That was their final tally. And they... overall, for those of you that haven't worked it out and done some maths, that's 65 medals and one more than the 64 they won at Tokyo 2020. So a successful campaign in the Olympics for Team GB, finishing 7th overall. Of course, you have the likes of America and China, who always do very well when it comes to the Olympic Games. But I found it quite funny before the Olympics started, when we had the opening ceremony, that one did go on forever. But also was a great insight into French culture and to French history as well. And also you had a French metal band playing on the edge of a castle, which for me as a rocker was always going to be a massive hit.
Do you know, I can't even remember the Olympics now. It's just
it does feel like a long time ago.
It really does feel like a long time. There's so much has happened this year in terms of news as well.
It was also a first for us in the Talk Network for the Olympics this year, because TalkSport hosted and were official broadcasting partners for the first time ever. So that was exciting to be a part of as well.
Except you were kept here.
I mean, I was here in London in the studio producing shows.
Yeah.
And that's always going to be the case when you're working behind the desk and producing stuff. You never get sent out to anything, but
never.
Maybe one day.
Yeah.
Maybe one day I'll be talking to you from a nice sporting event somewhere. That'll be the dream.
One day, that would be the dream. Taylor Swift, though, is also on your list, which I wasn't expecting, in terms of sports news for 2024.
So maybe one year I'll be talking to you from America at the Super Bowl, because that's where Taylor Swift was earlier this year, happened around about the beginning of February, where the Kansas City Chiefs officially became a dynasty, winning their third Super Bowl in a row. And they could do it again next year. The Super Bowl happens on the 9th of February, and they're in the playoffs again after qualifying from the NFC East, I'm pretty sure. They've essentially stampeded their way through the season. I think they've gone at least 16-1, so they've got one game left. The season wraps up at the end of this week, so we could see the Kansas City Chiefs and Taylor Swift at another Super Bowl come February. If they win that, that's their fourth in a row, and there aren't a lot of teams in NFL history that have done that before.
If she's still going out with him, it's Kelce.
If she's still going out with Travis Kelce, which by the sounds of things, it sounds like it's going well, but I'm not really keeping an eye on that world. I find the sport a lot more interesting.
Just very quickly, let's just look at the summer of 2025, looking forward just a bit.
Yeah, so we've got the new expanded FIFA Club World Cup that will be taking place in the US between June and July, the 15th of June to the 13th of July. It was previously an annual tournament contested by the top 7 teams across the world, those being the teams that won their representative Champions League trophies, including the team in Oceania, which always seemed to be there, maybe to prop up the numbers, but this time around, there are a lot more teams. There are 32, and it will take place once every 4 years. The teams that are playing from England will be Chelsea and Manchester City. You've also got the likes of Real Madrid and Inter Miami, who haven't won anything, who will be taking part in the competition this year. It feels like their reason for qualification is just because Lionel Messi plays for them. So we will have... there will be 8 groups of 4, which will play each other once, and then it goes into a knockout competition. So if you're a Chelsea fan and you're keeping an eye on what's going on during the competition, it will be happening in the middle of the night over here. Chelsea have got, if I can find, they've got Flamengo of Brazil, Esperance Sportive de Tunis of Tunisia, and Club Lyon of Mexico, whereas Manchester City will be in the same group as Juventus of Italy, Al Ain and Wydad, who are both of, I think Al Ain are Egyptian and Wydad play in, I think it's Qatar.
Brilliant. Well, that is something to look forward to. And so is seeing you in 2025.
And
have a wonderful new year, won't you?
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Take care. Alex, 3 Lions Irons. Right, stay where you are. We're talking podcast next.
across the UK. On DAB+, on YouTube, on the app, on your mobile. The home of common sense. This is Talk.
Hi there, and a good evening. This is Talk, and it's Petrie here with you until 1 o'clock tomorrow morning. And coming up at midnight, of course, we are going to be discussing your favourite and least favourite moment of 2024. Maybe we'll have a look at disappointment of the year for you, a fall from grace of the year, biggest hypocrite of the year. They can't all be Keir Starmer, by the way. Well, I mean, they can, but it'd be very boring. Demigod of the year, sexiest man of the year, Jeremy Clarkson. Guilty pleasure of the year. What was your guilty pleasure of 2024? What was it? Tell me. I want to know. So give me a call and let me know what you failed at, what you succeeded at, all of those things. As 2024, thankfully, comes to a close. 0344 499 1000. And you can text as well. Put the word talk and your message to 87222. Before that, though, Vincent Moss will be here, actually, in the top of the hour to go through the papers for Tuesday. So for tomorrow. So that's what's happening. And before that, even, Vicky Mitzi is joining us now, journalist, broadcaster and host of You Didn't Let Me Finish podcast. Vicky, hello.
Hello, Petrie. How are you?
I'm good. How was Christmas?
Oh, it was, very fulfilling.
Well, as in food filling or
very fulfilling.
Fulfilling.
It was a good one. It was nice.
Nice.
And
good.
it's still nice, really. I did have some more celebrations before I came there.
Did you? My son was furious because I didn't buy it. I forgot to get the celebrations or the Quality Street or any of that sort of stuff. So there was nothing apart from what was in
You didn't get there too late, did you?
No, I just forgot.
When they've sold all the maxi tubs.
Yeah, no, I just completely forgot. But his stocking was stuffed with sweeties and things, so he was fine once he got his stocking. So that was what. He's 27, by the way. I mean, this is not a toddler we're talking about, although they never grow up, especially when they're staying with mum. Right.
That's important.
That's very important. Talk me through some of these podcasts.
Well, from you know what my guilty pleasure is, don't you? It's podcasts.
I do. Yeah.
I wanted to start, it's a little bit cheesy, I've got to admit, but it's a motivational podcast, which is full of very exciting tidbits for us to take into the new year. The Mel Robbins podcast, she's very excited about spreading her knowledge of how to be a better person. And I mean, I thought, okay, let's have a listen. It's been a bit dry on the ground. I've got to say, I've been listening for you. And at the moment, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's reruns. People are kind of rehashing old stuff. But I thought I'd give this a go. And I'm glad I did, because what Mel Robbins does is go through, she opened her phone on the episode that I was listening to and looked through her pictures of her year and found within that all these things that she had forgotten she'd done, the things that she'd wished she hadn't done, so on, just through looking at her camera roll on her phone, which I thought was quite interesting. And then she said that she'd done it the year before and she'd sort of paired up with her partner and they'd looked at things that they, it was sort of the good and bad of the year and what they wanted to take forward from that, what they wanted to continue doing and what she wanted to share with her audience, us lot, about what she found motivating and things that she could sort of impart to us about sort of strengthening habits. She's an author, she does all this kind of self-improvement stuff and she's on Oprah.
I genuinely think that life coach is just a made-up job. And I don't want anyone telling me about their journey. It just really annoys me.
That's so brilliant. That's so brilliant. I go on a journey every time I put headphones on. I feel excited about it.
Yeah, but it's not. It's your journey, then, isn't it? It's not somebody else's journey telling you how to do it. This is not for me.
Not for you. No, I thought it might be a bit You know,
yeah, not
new agey.
Yeah, I just think it's a made-up job. Oh, life coach. I mean, anyone can be a life coach, right? I mean, anyone.
Well, that's her selling point for this. She wants to take in her own personal stuff. That's the way that she sells it. And she said she gave up personal speaking, like personal appearances, and cut down her traveling. And I thought there are a few things that I took away with me, thinking maybe there are some things, obviously not this, my favorite thing to do, but you know, there are some other things where your energy is being expended and you can afford to cut corners a bit more, you know.
Do you need somebody to tell you that, though? I could have.
She's only holding my hand, Petrie.
You could have just given me a call. I'm everybody's mum here. I get all the makeup to. I give them advice.
This is true.
You know, you don't need to be a life coach. It's nonsense. But ananyway, it's called the Mel.
If you fancy a bit of that, it's there though.
Podcast. Parents' Gap Year.
Oh, I am so glad that I gave this a go. The title slightly confused me and put me off. I thought, oh no, is this parents talking about their kids, you know, having a lovely time, sort of drinking too much in Thailand? But no, it's a, I'm afraid I was going to use the sentence, it's a journey. But it's these people's journey who decided to take a sabbatical.
But they're on a literal journey. That's fine. You can use the word journey when they're actually going from A to B.
Later on in life, slightly. And I thought, oh, hello, I sat up and I thought, this could be me. This is what I need to do. And so it's Anne-Marie McCormack and her partner, Rod Gray. And they saved up. They realised their son had been more well-travelled than them and departed around the world, only to find that life goes along with them. And sadly, Anne-Marie's father passed away. In the first few episodes, you hear that she had to come back and sort of life got in the way a bit, or death got in the way of the journey. And it was really it was touching and heartwarming the way that you heard them do. You know, they're good talkers, they're media people, and they've done it so nicely. And it came to me internally, so it was via someone who's here at Talk. So I love that, and I'm glad that I kind of gave it a go and found this sort of heartwarming colour and a lovely little listen, I thought.
Nice. That sounds all right. I like that. The Trapped. Tell me what this is about.
It's journalism. And it's a bit of true. Well, I know you like true crime.
Yeah,
maybe I can sell it on that.
Yeah.
An investigation into. I kind of thought, right, these residents in housing association properties experiencing terrible things, and I was like, do I really want to listen to that? But the way it's done, it's done by ITV's journalist Daniel Hewitt, and he visited these flats. And it was the audio that they got from the residents in those flats who'd just almost given up, living in properties with small children where water was coming through the walls in total misery. And they've been complaining about it. But there are good things to come out of this. The investigative kind of dogged investigation of how this could come about, how these people were being ignored. Daniel Hewitt gives them a voice and a great team around him as well. And it snowballs because they get more and more calls from more and more people, and you wonder how this can be happening in, you know, some of them were 2022 in this, you know, our day and age now. And he then finds a young man on one of the estates who is tweeting about things, and he becomes a campaigner, and then he gives them a voice, and they gain this momentum, so enabling this whole investigation just to sort of pull it apart. I'm midway through, so apparently there is a bit in it which it's something surprising happens, but it's just asking how this can really happen in the UK.
That's
and
amazing.
It's really well done.
Yeah, because these are the stories that are not sexy enough in terms of, you know, the big headline but they impact people's lives, and this is what journalism should be about? You know, there's no point just rehashing something from PA just to get the headline. That doesn't impact people's lives. But stuff like this, people trapped in badly built properties, or people with cladding, or those are the things, or in flood areas, those are the things that really impact. That's proper journalism.
Exactly.
I really
in the light of
that.
Grenfell, that this is still happening.
And
holding the bigwigs to account over it. He does it very well, and it's worth a listen, because you really can, you get very stuck in mentally and think, right, let's do, get them. Let's hold them to account. And it seems to be happening at the part that I'm at, but apparently there's a bit of a surprise turn. So a little bit, true crimey when you want to see how things unfold.
I really like that, and I admire that sort of journalism as well, because that's proper digging in, like you said. It's like really going for the unsexy but the most, incredible stories. Brilliant.
Gritty.
I do like the sound of this one, How to Fail. This isn't so preachy, I don't think, as I would find the Mel Robbins podcast, and it's a much more interesting way of going about looking at how failures can be turned into successes.
Oh, I'm glad you like that, because I thought, I was thinking, do you know Elizabeth Day? Do you know of her?
Don't. It rings a bell, but no.
A former Observer journalist, now
I'm
novelist.
aware of her. Yeah.
Yeah. So she's looking at it from that point of view, but I think she's quite well connected after having done that for a long time. And her first guest was Phoebe Waller-Bridge, who I thought, well, I'm not sure, if she's hanging with these people, is this something that I can resonate with? But Phoebe, what she did was that she got her back on because they're mates, and so it was from pre-Fleabag and Killing Eve. It escaped me there, but pre that, and then after her explosion and success of Fleabag. I don't know if you watched Fleabag.
Oh, of course I did. Loved it. Yeah.
I'm glad. I think about it quite a lot.
Yeah, me too.
So they were joshing really nicely, and she was sharing how little she thought Fleabag would impact and be such a hit, but also her own life, and that people would come up to her family and say, right, we know what your relationship's like. And she was like, no, it's really, she feels that she should have warned her family.
Yeah, probably.
For the onslaught of what was to come. But it was just, it was, as you say, it's good to scratch beneath the surface and see that even people with these amazing careers and these huge hits are thinking, crikey, this didn't go right, and now I'm here, where do I go?
Yeah, I love it. I do, because I think we all have failures that we think is going to be the end of the world because we failed, and then suddenly something else will happen. If you hadn't failed, you wouldn't have got that success. So I love that. Listen, I've got to go. Happy New Year to you, Vicky.
Happy New Year, lovely Petrie.
Yeah, and to
Thank
you, lovely Vicky. Vicky Mitzi there, journalist, broadcaster and host of You Didn't Let Me Finish.
I spoke with His Majesty the King to request the dissolution of Parliament, and we will have a general election on the 4th of July.
I have just returned from Buckingham Palace to form the next government of this great nation.
Take a look at what happened.
I immediately knew it was very serious, that we were under attack.
The time has come, and this surely is England's time. Williams, who scores, and Spain lead. The shot from distance is in. It is Cole Palmer. Low ball in, Oivamo slides it in.
An absolute killer of a goal.
I agree with the protest, but I don't think the violence was anywhere near necessary.
No, I mean, I don't think anyone, Nigel, would ever think that the violence was the answer at all.
אזרחי ישראל, אנחנו במלחמה.
I probably took a bullet to the head because of the things that they say about me.
If Donald Trump were president, Putin would be sitting in Kyiv right now.
In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in, they're eating the cats.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on the app, on your mobile, the home of common sense. This is Talk.
Hello there. It is good to have your company. And for the next hour, you are also in the company of Vincent Moss. So thank you very much indeed for coming in. Christmas was good?
Yes, very enjoyable, very nice. Thank you.
Very nice, good. Did you get any nice presents?
I bought myself a very expensive pair of headphones. I didn't realise they were so expensive, but if you want the good ones, they're not cheap, are they?
And if you want the good ones, you have to buy them for yourself.
Yes, that's exactly. Nobody's going to buy you those as a Christmas present. They're too expensive.
No, exactly. My son got, it's really interesting from his girlfriend. He got this projector, right? So it's like a little tub, if you like, a cylinder, and you can move it, you can ratchet it around. And if you shine it up at the ceiling, and it's got Netflix on it and YouTube and all of those, and you use a remote control, and you can literally just watch the television on your ceiling.
That's clever, I like that. So you can watch it in bed then?
Yes.
That's perfect.
I want one now.
Yeah, I think we all do.
Yeah. And that's all it is. It's within the projector itself, and you just shine it where you want it to be shone, and then you can just use the remote control to go to YouTube or to go to...
Excellent.
Netflix or Prime or Disney, I think it's on there as well.
Yeah.
And you can watch it on the ceiling.
Sounds ideal.
I mean, come on.
Yes.
Yeah,
it's the future.
very nice girlfriend bought him that.
Yeah.
We're looking at 2024. And I think the best thing about 2024 is it ends tomorrow. It's been a heck of a year, actually. Certainly news-wise, it's been relentless, hasn't it? The last 6 months of it, anyway. What has been your highlight? It doesn't have to be a news story, but what has been your best part of 2024 and your worst part?
Well, I was thinking about this. I think it's not been a fantastic year, but I think the good thing is I haven't had any... Best highlight, I would say, as you know, I've got a dog, Walter, and he had a very bad back, slip disc, confined to the house for about 6 weeks, and seeing him back out on the common, running around like his old self, that was a highlight because I love my dog so much. So that was
worrying,
great.
Isn't it, when they're not well?
And he was whimpering and he was sad for himself. So seeing him back and about was great. I don't really have any sort of bad highlights. I always think if you've got a roof over your head, you're still employed and nobody's terribly ill, that's a pretty good year these days. So I would say...
But isn't that sad when people say to me, oh, count your blessings? I don't just want to count the blessings. I want to have something fabulous.
Yeah, we all want some good news, and it was a grim year just for everybody, really. Just world news, world events, stuff happening here, the fact we got a change of government in many ways, and many people thought that'd be a good thing, me included, and it's turned out to be a very inauspicious start for the new government, and people are just as depressed about the new government as they were about the old government. So it's not been a great start. I think everybody must think 2025 has just got to get better, hasn't it?
I mean, it's just got to happen. Just let's, just so it's a hope. You can re-engineer some hope, maybe.
Yeah, and I think one of the worst things is even the New Year's Eve celebrations, when you look towards those traditional ones in Edinburgh, all been cancelled in Blackpool. London's still going ahead at the moment, as far as we know, and I'm sure it will go ahead. The weather's not as bad down south. But even you haven't got that positivity of the ringing in the new year and seeing all those great pictures on TV, because the weather's going to be so grim in certain parts of the country. In the UK, we won't have a nice new year.
Yeah, I did. I mean, it is a bit health and safety gone a bit. I mean, in days gone by, the Scots are a tough bunch, right? They can cope with a bit of wind and rain.
And these storms
honestly,
are never as bad as they say.
They're never as bad as they say.
We'll say that and we'll probably find that roofs are blown off. So hopefully not.
Let's not do a Michael Fish.
No, exactly. Yes, nothing to see.
Let's not do a Michael Fish.
Yes.
But, yeah, I just think, when I saw that, I thought, really? Is it really going to be that bad that you have to do that?
And people have travelled from America and all over the world to come to Edinburgh and see it, 45,000 people, and they want to be part of it, and it's now not going ahead, so I feel really sorry for them.
I feel really sorry for the organisers who've spent probably a year putting together these things and putting the plans together. It's just a damp squib end to a damp squib year. I just think it's really, really, really sad. And like I said, the Scots are a tough bunch. They don't mind a bit of wind and
exactly.
rain. They could cope with that. But anyway, sorry, but there is a party here. So you are invited. I know it's going to be cancelled in other places, but it's my first ever New Year's Eve show. I've never done one before.
No, I should be listening in. And that will go ahead. We know that will definitely go ahead.
That will definitely go ahead.
Yes.
And I might even wear something sparkly. I mean, who knows? Probably not, but I'll try. Yes. Yeah, I think that for 2024 has been a bit... I can't think of any real highlights, apart from, you know, you saying about your dog is lovely and all of that, but... It's just saying, oh, nothing really bad has happened and we should be grateful, rather than...
Well, that's kind of where we are these days a lot of the time, isn't it?
At our age.
Yes,
that's it. That's when you go, oh, well, no one died.
If you're still here and you're not in hospital, you know, it's a win. You know?
Exactly that. How tragic is that? But the New Year's honours are out. I did quickly go through it. No Vincent Moss.
Not on it.
That is a travesty, my
And
friend.
I believe you're not on it either.
I know, which is equal travesty.
Yeah.
It's a travesty. But anyway, anybody... I mean, Stephen Fry... I mean, he was born Sir Stephen Fry, right? I mean, he should have been knighted at birth and have been Sir Stephen Fry his entire life, because he's just amazing. So he's a knight.
He has done a lot for mental health and awareness of mental health, so he's really great. He's one of the sort of... Increasingly we see these people like Jimmy Carter was in America, and Attenborough is here as well. He's become one of those kind of sort of father figures of the nation, is he, in a way. So, yeah, well-deserved in his case.
Yeah, he is at the head of the table at my favourite, my imaginary dinner party.
And he would be fun.
Oh, my goodness. I mean, my sister and I was going, why aren't we related to Stephen Fry? Why aren't we related to? Why isn't he Uncle Stephen? Why? It's the worst travesty, but she and I both moan about a lot. But anyway, so Stephen Fry's on it. We know that Southgate's on it as a Sir.
I think that was to be expected. He got England to 2 Euros finals, and I think that was widely tipped. I think the one thing that is surprising, there aren't that many show-busy names on it. You tend to expect that. And I think one of the new things with this new government is they want to move it more to those idea of unsung heroes, which is who really do deserve it. And there seems to be a move away from a lot of the sort of celebs that used to get it in the past. I could be wrong, but there's not a huge number of those that are on the list. And those that are really have done a lot for charity, like Marlene Klass with the... premature baby deaths charity that Tommy, that she supports, and Stephen Fry with his mental health work. So rather than just saying I do a bit for charity, I think you really have to do quite a lot for charity these days if you're a celeb.
Yeah, and also with Stephen Fry, we know that he's had that journey. He had to... He left the stage, didn't he, in the West End, just walked out of a show and didn't go back because his mental health was so bad, and everybody was incredibly worried about him. So if anybody is suffering with mental health problems, to see somebody as vulnerable as Stephen Fry was, be able to turn that around must give people hope, and I think that's in itself is worth.
Yeah, very much so.
He's been really honest about it. He's not been one of those celebrities who went, oh yeah, no, I was a bit depressed once, when everybody jumped on that bandwagon. He's properly been through it.
He has.
And that amazing, amazing man. Love you, Stephen. Please come round to my house for dinner. Please. With my sister. God, that would be the best.
He could come in on New Year's Eve. That would.
No, I want him to myself. I want him to come round to my house and have a meal with me and my sister. Be like that.
That'd be fun.
Hello, Stephen. OK, so Dame Jacqueline Wilson has become a dame, or a Grand Knight Crosser. She'll be a dame before her children's books, isn't it?
Yes.
So that's good. The former chair of cancer research, I don't think I can say his name, Leszek Boyziewicz is my punt at that. Former chair of Cancer Research UK. I mean, Cancer Research UK have done incredible work over the last 10 years. I mean, quite extraordinary. The military, senior military people, Director General Ken McCullum becomes a Knight Grand Cross as well. We have Vice Admiral Martin Connell and General Gwyn Jenkins become Knight Commanders. These are the military awards. Lieutenant Tom Coppinger-Symes, along with 8 military figures, are made companions, and that's a CB. Order of St Michael and St George, who have we got through, coming through that? 13 damehoods, Barbara Ray, that's an artist, Labour politicians Patricia Hewitt and Emily Thornbury, and a few others. But like you said, there's no real actors, really. The Commander Order, a CBE, Commander of the Order of the British Empire, a CBE, actors Carey Mulligan, Anne Reid and Sarah Lancashire. I'm glad about Sarah Lancashire.
Yes, she deserved it.
Brilliant. Yeah. I could, the others, and broadcaster Alan Titchmarsh were all made CBE. See, Alan Titchmarsh is fine as a gardener. Never read a sex scene he's written. Never read a sex scene written by Alan Titchmarsh.
Didn't he win the award for the bad sex writing award? Was it
sex writing award?
Yes.
It is tooth-curlingly embarrassing. I mean, if you read it, and I only read those bits because for journalistic purposes, obviously, and you hide behind a cushion even when you're reading it. It's just awful. And the thought that Alan Titchmarsh wrote it is even more awful.
And you can't unremember it.
You can't unremember it.
Yeah.
It can destroy your sex life. Don't read them. It's just don't skip through those bits. But anyway, so Order of the Officer of the Order of the British Empire, otherwise known as an OBE, post office campaigners, Lee Castleton, Joe Hamilton, Christopher Head and Seema Misra, and journalist Rebecca Thompson, as you were saying, wrote about it in the Computer Weekly, which is a really inauspicious place for this huge story to have started, really.
Yeah, and it's nice that she, as somebody who started it, got the recognition, because lots of people jumped on that bandwagon journalistically and highlighted it. I mean, there was a very important ITV documentary, for example, and there were lots of journalists who did cover it, but they'd never have been able to cover it if Computer Weekly hadn't doggedly, and to some extent Private Eye as well, doggedly covered it when it was a story that nobody really understood.
It's
very complex.
That's right.
Because people just looked at it and thought, well, this is very confusing. What is Horizon? What does it all mean? Perhaps this, I don't really understand it. Let's skip to the next story. Whereas Computer Weekly in particular stuck at it and really started pulling at the threads, and without their initial work, I don't think the scandal would have been uncovered.
No, because like you said, because nobody would have understood it.
Yeah.
So that's that sort of dogged journalism that just doesn't get done anymore. And it's so good to see it not only being done, but also being rewarded.
Very much so, because without that journalism, many people would still be in jail, and many people would not be getting the compensation they deserve after losing all of their life savings.
Alan, what's his name, still hasn't got it, has he?
No, it's still. I mean, the new government, to be fair, did very well on the infected blood scandal, and it seemed to have fulfilled the promise the last government didn't do on sorting out infected blood. And the next thing on the list really has to be sorting out the payments to these sub-postmasters and sub-postmistresses, because that is taking far too long, and a lot of them are getting very old.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like they're hoping that they won't have to make the payments. Right, so the BEM was reintroduced in 2012. That's the British Empire Medal, by then Prime Minister David Cameron, as part of his bid to make the honours system classless, saying too few people were making a difference in their areas were made MBEs. So the medal goes to 317 people, so-called ordinary people. So we don't have a list of them, but it's not going to set the world on fire, this honours list, is it? Sadiq Khan, we haven't got the full list here yet. I will have it, hopefully, a bit later on. But Khan.
Yep, that will be a controversial one. I think one of the papers has splashed on that, saying, why has he got a knighthood?
What for?
Well, there is an argument that people shouldn't just get awards for doing their jobs. They have to do something a little bit extra. And there's still a lot of people on this, not just Sadiq Khan, but a lot of people who've just got it for doing their jobs. I mean, there's a lot of Olympians who deserve it because they really have they've succeeded and they've won medals. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
But there's an awful lot of civil servants, and this hasn't changed despite some of the changes. There's a lot of people who just get the award for doing their job, and that's not really what they should be about, I don't think.
It really should not be about that. And Sadiq Khan getting it, I want you to point to me to all of his successes and tell me why he deserves to be a Knight of the Realm, because I'd need to really pick through that to figure out if I agreed with that. I tell you what, though, Tom Baker, have you ever met Tom Baker? The Doctor Who. the tall doctor with the long scarf.
No,
Yeah.
but he is famous, isn't he? Very famous.
Oh my
Doctor
God,
Who.
he is as mad as a box of frogs. Honestly, I've met him a couple of times. He's such a nice man, but bonkers.
Very funny. He wrote one of those very funny columns about a day in the life of Tom Baker, which became...
He is hilarious. I mean, but he always had time. He lived, I think he lived somewhere in Kent, and I did a stretch at BBC Kent, and so I walked out one day, and there's Tom Baker was literally standing just there and chatting to this little boy, and the little boy had obviously recognised him, and so he was talking about it, and I phoned up one of my friends who's a real anorak, and I went, Tom Baker's in front of me. Which Tom Baker episode should I buy to get him to sign for my son? And so he told me, and I ran into the BBC shop, which was just underneath the station, the radio station, and I bought the disc that he told me. Well, I didn't even have any money. I said, I'll pay you later. And they went, who the hell are you? And I went, I'll work upstairs. And I came out and I got him to sign, and he signed it for me. And he would have talked to me for an hour had I had an hour to spare. He was so
fantastic.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Really nice guy. Thrilled. This is my best episode. How marvellous. I think, yeah,
Yes.
well, you know.
Yeah, I've watched them all.
I've watched them all.
Yeah.
He was my doctor, though, I think. Who was your... Did you...
No, same era, yes.
Yeah.
He was easily the best one, I think,
He was
definitely.
easily the best one. Brilliant. Just enough bonkers. Anyway, he's an MBE. Eddie Marsden, an actor from the film Happy Go Lucky, he was honoured to be appointed Officer of the Order of the British Empire, so an OBE. And like we said, Sarah Lancashire became a CBE. Gareth Southgate, Sir. Politics again, well, I don't know. Sadiq Khan getting a knighthood is just really annoying me. So there's a few out there that, yeah.
But then I think Andy Street, the Birmingham mayor, was Conservative, got one as well. So that's the thing. Each of the political parties can put people forward. So the Conservatives will put a few people forward, Labour will put a few people forward. I think Emily Thornberry's become a Dame, for example.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that could be a consolation prize because she didn't get a job in government when...
Yeah, but that's not what these are supposed to be.
No, but unfortunately it does tend to be the case.
Well, we all know, don't we? It's like, you know, if you donate this or if you do that, there's a knighthood in it for you.
Well, at least the days of all the people who donated to the Conservative Party, just donated cash, who all got awards, that seems to... I haven't seen the full list yet, but it doesn't seem to be so much of basically sort of you give us some cash and we'll give you an honour. It doesn't seem to be quite that bad.
It's like you said, though, Stephen Fry receiving a knighthood, not just because he's a brilliant actor and, you know, just everything about him is wonderful, but for services to mental health awareness. So he has done more than being a good actor. Sadiq Khan, on the other hand, Sadiq can't, he's got it for being mayor.
That's what they do.
That's
doesn't make
not
it right. No, but then Andy Street in Birmingham is in the same position.
Yeah.
He's got a knighthood for being in charge of Birmingham. There's a lot of it around. Ideally, you wouldn't have any...
Even though Birmingham is in debt to £1 billion.
Well, that's right, yes. He would say that's the council, not him.
Yeah, I know,
But, exactly.
I mean, how many layers of government are going to throw that excuse around?
Yeah, not me, Gov.
No, it wasn't. Oh, no, that's not me. I think it does need to be revised again. But it's... Keely Hodgkinson got a MBE. She won gold in the 800 metres and set a new British record that made her...
Yeah, I think that's well deserved, and a lot of the Olympians, and they really have gone. If you're getting a gold or a silver or whatever, you really have do deserve it. And the Paralympians, the Olympic medal winners, fine, no problem with that. And also the people who do a lot for charity, who are lower down the list, who the sort of everyday heroes who just do a lot in their communities. I think they definitely deserve it. But people who've just done a civil service job for 40 or 50 years... That's not
what it's about.
No, I mean, they've got the pension for that. They don't need the award as well.
I'm surprised there hasn't been a posthumous award for... I think I'm getting this name right. Rob Burrow, the rugby player who brought so much awareness to motor neurone disease.
That's right. And I can't remember if the rules have changed, but I seem to remember the rules always where you couldn't award them posthumously.
He was a CBE, but I mean, he brought so much attention to that disease, and so much. I mean, incredible.
And it may be they find another way of honouring him. And I can't remember if they were changing the rules on this, because it was proposed that they should do it, and I can't remember if it came in, but last I remember when I looked at it, you couldn't get one if you were dead, basically.
Oh, right.
But it may be that that's changed or is about to
you can
change.
take it away from... Have we taken it away from Jimmy Savile?
That's a good point, don't know. But you can, I think you can, there's a committee, you can take awards away from people.
Oh, you lose it when you die anyway?
Do you? I suppose you must. Well, you lose everything when you die, really, I suppose, don't you, from that point of view?
Depends what you believe.
Yeah, true, yeah.
Right, got to take a quick break, but Vincent Moss and myself, Petrie, will be back in just a moment.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on the app, on your mobile, the home of common sense. This is Talk.
Hello there. Just gossiping with Vincent. Right, it's Petrie here with you and with me, Vincent Moss, looking at Tuesday's newspapers. So we've just been through what we've got so far of the New Year's honours list. There will be more to come, I suspect, on that. But let's start with the Independent, shall we? So here we go. Edinburgh's Hogmanay party cancelled. Bar humbugs. So do join us here, please. Revealed Regulator covered up secret rogue nurse report. Scandal hit Nursing and Midwifery Council accused of suppressing internal inquiry revealing its failure to act on allegations of sexual misconduct and child abuse by NHS staff exposed by whistleblowers. This is happening all too often. All too often. People complain, they whistleblow, and it gets shut down. This has got to stop.
Very much so, especially in hospitals and healthcare, which seems to be about the worst place for it at the moment. I mean, it took so much to get Lucy Letby to court eventually, and a lot of whistleblowing there, and it took a huge amount of high-level complaints for action in that case, and there seems to be more of it going on because quite often the people who run the trusts are so risk-averse and worried about reputational damage that they would rather cover up incidents of wrongdoing. And this is something Independent's been campaigning on for a while, saying that it's revealed in 2023 that the watchdog was not fit for purpose, and it really is calling and piling the pressure on the Nursing and Midwifery Council to reveal the results of these internal inquiries.
I mean, how could you be called a watchdog if you've got your eyes closed? And you refuse to see what is actually happening. It is disgraceful. And the thing that annoys me with all of these regulators is that nobody seems to get fired for it. Nobody seems to lose their job or their big fat pensions or whatever it is. They just blindly go, you know, try and stifle stuff like the post office stuff. They knew there was a problem at the post office. Everybody knew, apart from the public, because we didn't understand it, but everybody knew, and they didn't try and correct it. They tried to cover it up.
No, they cover it up.
And this happens all the time.
Continue to take bonuses and pensions, and if they do leave, they leave of their own volition, usually with a payoff.
With a massive fat pension.
So it's terrible, really, and I think healthcare is one of the areas where it seems to be one of the biggest problems, and what we need is just more transparency in these reports published so people can make their own minds up.
It's getting to the point now where these watchdogs need to be overseen, that the watchdogs have to be watched.
Yeah.
I mean, who's watching the watchdogs?
Yes. Yeah.
No one.
Yeah, well, you would hope that the government are, but they're not doing a very good job in this case if they can't get the regulators to reveal what's been going on. I mean, they're very serious allegations of, as it says, sexual misconduct and child abuse. I don't think you can get any more serious than that.
I don't think it gets more serious than that. But, I mean, we saw that again with the BBC, with Hugh Edwards. You know, people knew. There was gossip, there was talk, there was, you know, these things. And they go, oh, no, we didn't know. And they did know. And then when they were told by the police, they still covered it up and then paid him £400,000 that they're trying to get back. Good luck with that. I wouldn't pay them back. But, you know, and they weren't honest. And this is the problem, that it doesn't matter. You should just say, look, this is what's happening. We can't talk about it more because of, you know, it's an investigation. But we're aware of it and it's being done, you know, just something. But all of these watchdogs, all of these regulators, the BBC itself regulating, they don't want to tell us anything.
That's right. And whistleblowers won't come forward if they think no action will happen. They're already risking losing their jobs potentially for blowing the whistle. And then if there's no action taken, then they're not going to come forward, are they?
What is the point? And it really is, these watchdogs. And unfortunately, Keir Starmer's government seems hell-bent on setting up more and more quangos and more of these regulators and who's going to be overseeing them? And they're just getting big fat payouts and big fat money for setting up these quangos. We're supposed to be getting rid of quangos, weren't we?
Yes, that's what every government always says about a bonfire, the quangos, bonfire red tape. But yeah, what we need is the quangos to be effective. And I mean, look at the regulation of the water industry, and you know, that's even worse, where there are regulators there and doing very little to stop what's going on in the water industry.
I mean, it is embarrassing. I told you my favourite headline of all times was during that time when the bonfire of the quangos and whatever it was. And this sub-editor is a genius in my view. The headline was on a small nib at the bottom of the page, and it just said, "Last Quango in Powers."
Oh, that's quite good.
Oh, come on.
That's very good.
That is beautiful.
Yes.
That's a beautiful... And I'm sure that the story wasn't even real. It was just that the sub-ed went, I'm having that headline.
Yeah, worth doing for the headline.
It was so worth it. It's my favourite headline in history. And it's what made me want to be a sub-editor, which I never quite made. But at last, Quango in Powers. Oh, beautiful. Excellent stuff. The Independent as well, talking about Southgate. A picture of that. I thought that was, when I first looked at that picture, it was like a cricketer, but that's just because of the shirt he's wearing. England's former football coach joins the London Mayor Sadiq Khan and Labour's Emily Thornberry on this year's list. So Emily becomes a dame and those two become sirs. We're going to take a quick break, Vincent. It's that time already. We'll be back in a moment.
across the UK. On DAB+, on YouTube, on the app, on your mobile. The home of common sense. This is Talk.
Hello there. And a very, very nice to have your company. And with me, we have the former political editor, Vincent Moss, and we are going through Tuesday's newspapers. The Eye, Vincent, covering the post office scandal victims, are given honours. Fortunately, they can't sell them to make any money because they're still waiting for compensation, as we discussed. So 900 sub-postmasters were wrongly convicted of criminal offences, lest we forget, due to faulty post office IT systems between 1999 and 2015. So while thousands were sacked and lost money, people have died, they lost their houses. I mean, it's just awful, awful scandal. Still waiting to be paid, which is the latest scandal. The Times for Tuesday. We were both saying, this is really unusual, that there's a whole area of the Times, as you can see if you're watching, blanked out. I've never seen that before. And you had a theory on this.
Yeah, I think they've done that because there was a 10:30 embargo on the honours being published, and because they send the papers around a bit before that, they thought they won't take any chances with anybody breaking the embargo. So that is probably going to be a picture of one of the recipients, or some of the recipients of the New Year's honours, I suspect. So we could play a guessing game as to whose picture might be there.
We know it's not us.
Not us.
So, yeah, but I promise you, I've never seen that before. That they're so concerned about an embargo. And we get lots of embargoed stuff, right? And even in the papers, there's stuff, and you can't talk about it until after. But, you know, I've never seen it before.
Yeah, just super cautious, perhaps.
We've got a little elf that keeps bringing us in. Christmas elf called Gabriella. Keeps bringing in more newspapers. Anyway, a public sector plan to trade pensions for higher pay. Unions split on initiative to ease staff shortages. Millions of teachers, nurses and civil servants could be offered higher salaries in return for lower pensions under plans being considered to retain staff and avoid further pay disputes. Generous public sector pensions would be reduced in exchange for thousands of pounds more in pay packets now. Well, how are we going to pay for that?
Well, it's an interesting idea in theory, because as we all know, public sector pensions are huge. I mean, I saw a job advertised the other day where the contribution to the pension, if you took the job, was 30%. Which is a huge amount of money. But I think the argument would be that you pay public sector workers more salary to attract them, particularly in areas where there are shortages of planning officers and various other skills. But as in return for that, they would have to accept a cut in their gold-plated pensions. Now, I can see them being very keen on the salary rise because that would help them get mortgages and things like that, and everybody wants a pay rise. Whether they'd be willing to accept a cut in their pension, I'm not so sure. But there is a quote in the story in the Times from Lord O'Donnell, formerly Gus O'Donnell, who was the former Cabinet Secretary, saying this could be a win-win reform that could eventually save the government money, because if you increase civil servants' pay by £1,000, that helps them get a mortgage or something. But if you were decreasing their pension over the long term, that could save the government money. And there's no doubt the government does need to tackle public sector pensions because it's a huge bill that is pretty unsustainable. So there does need to be some kind of public sector pension reforms, and that's something the government's doubtless looking at, but it'll be hugely unpopular because one of the main reasons people take civil service jobs is because of the great pensions.
Yeah, it's Jam tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I know people who've got final salary from BBC. Final salary pensions.
Yeah, BBC, another good place. Well, don't you find if you go on these on the rare occasions I've been on very nice holidays, most of the other people there who seem to have retired in their 50s are people who've had very good public sector pensions, and they're already retired by 55, and they're globetrotting the world because they've got a decent pension.
Final salary. I mean, they literally got what they were earning. It's extraordinary. Yeah, there's an interesting name here, Cat Little. What a nice name. Cat Little, not Little Cat, Cat Little. Permanent Secretary at the Cabinet Office has said that she's reviewing the balance between pay and pensions. The trouble is, can we afford the jam today? I mean, I know pensions, we sort of kick it into the long grass. Somebody in their 30s now, that adds up to a lot of money. is that more money than they would get at pensionable age, which will be 70 by the time they retire?
Yes.
There's that balance to be made as well, because it could be that it will cost us more to employ those people on a higher salary, and especially with the pension age getting older and older, than they will ever take in their pension.
Yeah, and it's already...
So the maths, for me, doesn't quite work. If it's somebody in their 50s or 60s, yeah, great. Pay them more, less pension. But by now, they've already paid 30 years of pensions contributions, and they're not going to want to do that.
No, that's true. And I think there's already some anger, isn't there, about some of the perceived as quite high pension rises that the new government made already. So if they're going to start topping up even further those things, that won't be a very popular decision in some quarters.
What was that story? Was it yesterday or over the week? I lose track of the days when it's like Christmas time. That a quarter of all council tax money is paid on pensions.
Yeah, that's right, apparently. All of that council tax... Yeah, £1 in every 4 is just to sustain the pensions.
For their pension bill. And that won't change. They're going to want the jam today and the jam tomorrow.
Yeah.
Which, of course, I'd want as well.
Exactly.
But I unfortunately don't have any jam at all. Now, the Daily Star for Tuesday. Scoff an omelette and you'll never be a chrome dome. Eggheads, we've cracked boldness. Eggheads have got some great news for slapheads. Eating eggs can stop you going bald, apparently. They have put a little caveat here, a little star saying, legal notice, results may vary and are not 100% guaranteed. In other words...
We can think of polite words. Don't think of polite word as saying it might not necessarily be true. It's a fascinating idea. And it's got a lovely picture there of a person with an egg head, literally saying, as you say, eggheads, we've cracked baldness. So it's eat an egg and you might not go bald, but actually you might still go bald. So
you've obviously eaten a lot of eggs in your time.
Yes, I've eaten a few eggs, but I wouldn't see it as a guarantee that I will continue to.
Do you think that's why you've got that impressive mop of hair?
I think that might be the reason. Loads of eggs.
Loads and loads of eggs. There you go. 2025, apparently, as well, according to the Star, is the year of aliens, but we don't have the story to back that up. That will be inside the body of the newspaper. The Daily Express, spectacular mistake to open borders. Records reveal ex-Prime Minister Blair gave unrestricted access to EU migrants despite warnings. We knew that. Tony Blair threw open the UK borders to millions of migrants to boost the economy despite his ministers advising against it. That was back in 2004. Former PM granted Eastern Europeans unrestricted access to the British labour market. But we already knew this. I don't know why the Express has gone big on it.
Absolutely. I think presumably there are some documents that will talk about some of the cabinet discussions at the time, and I think it suggests that at the time the Foreign Secretary Jack Straw and the Deputy PM, the late John Prescott, warned about this surge unless controls were put in place. But that was seen as the way the government of the day wanted to turbocharge the economy, get lots of Polish plumbers in and that sort of thing, and it did lead to what was the start of an explosion in migration to the UK. So really, yes, we absolutely knew it, but I think it's just the fact there are now some papers, the records that are revealed around this time of the year, every year, and that reveals what we all knew, really, which is that if you're going to allow an awful lot of immigration, that is going to lead to potential problems. And it's just that now we've got the cabinet papers that will show that to be the warnings were there.
The warnings, the actual warnings were there. I tell you what, though, if this government wants to get anywhere close to building 855 houses a day, we do need more Polish plumbers. And because we haven't got the bricklayers, we haven't got the plumbers, we haven't got anybody.
No, there's a huge shortage in the buildings trade, and there are lots of people who actually want to build houses and got planning permission and can't get the labour to do it. I mean, I remember visiting Cornwall once, and they were offering £250 a day to bricklayers, and they just couldn't find the people to do the work because the skilled tradesmen weren't there.
Which then, of course, pushes the price up of anything that you have done.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, I've been dangling money at various people to put new windows in because I won't go into it. The back of my place. I can't for love nor money. Mind you, I haven't offered them love. I have to be honest with you, or anything like that. But I have offered them money. Can't get the people.
Yeah, it is hard. It's very, very hard to get skilled people to do things these days. There's just a shortage of people in certain professions.
I mean, unless you want to go for the, you know, the big companies like Everest and things like, which I don't. I want something specific, but yeah, you just can't get the people. You just can't get the staff. The FT party's over. Clubbers take an early night. A famous Berlin venue is the latest victim, or club death is called. The clubs are closing well, they're closing in the UK too.
Yeah, at big rates. A lot of them are closing.
People are not going clubbing.
They're not
You're
going
a clubber,
clubbing.
aren't you? I can tell.
Certainly might have been once a very long time ago, not anymore. But I think what is happening is it says clubs are taking early night in Berlin, famous sort of, or it's an incredible nightlife. But what is happening in London and other places is this surge in daytime clubbing, where they open clubs in the daytime and people of a certain age, older people, you might say, that often they're alcohol-free, people go along and club all day from sort of lunchtime until perhaps tea time, get their clubbing off their chests, as it were, and then go home and go have for sort of a cup of Horlicks and an early bedtime. So
that is the saddest thing I've ever heard.
It's apparently very popular. I think Vicky McClure's involved in it, isn't she? She's the actress. Does a very successful daytime clubbing scene.
You're kidding me.
No, it's a big thing. Apparently.
I have never heard. I mean, that is sad. It's tragic.
They seem to enjoy it.
It's tragic.
But you don't have any of the problems of trying to get home. It being cold and dark.
That is really an old person worry, isn't it? Like, I mean, I do. I'm one of them. But I'll go, I can't be doing that. And also, young people, they go out at midnight or 1 o'clock. That's when they go out.
They go really late now, yeah.
And then that to me is like, no. In fact, I never was. I was never a big clubber. But it is sad that there's so many of them closing down. Germany rushed to buy heat pumps for fear of green subsidy cut after their next election. It's quite a lot of Germany. Maybe the Germans are the only ones working over this period for the Financial Times.
Yes, yes.
They've got the German
office are in.
The German office is working really hard. Well, we've just offered billions, haven't we? Keir Starmer has for solar panels.
Yes, trying to appease the farmers by putting fewer in fields and more on people's roofs.
But when we say the government is offering that money, you and us are paying it. So, you're welcome. Quick break. Vincent and I'll be back in just a moment.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on the app, on your mobile, the home of common sense. This is Talk.
Hello there, and for the next sort of 10 minutes or so, it's Petrie and Vincent. We are your guides to the papers for Tuesday, but we have a voicemail, and I don't trust either of my producers next door, a voice note, sorry, who are grinning at me, so I don't know what's coming, but let's have a listen to it now.
Beads of sweat began to appear on Guy's forehead as he became more entangled in the lissom limbs of this human boa constrictor. For fully 15 minutes, their mutual passion heightened, with groans, sighs and liquid noises.
See what I mean? For those of you who weren't listening a while ago, that is an AI rendition reading of an Alan Titchmarsh sex scene. Groaning liquids. Let's listen to it again.
Beads of sweat began to appear on Guy's forehead as he became more entangled in the lissom limbs of this human boa constrictor. For fully 15 minutes, their mutual passion heightened, with groans, sighs and liquid noises.
It honestly is enough to put you off for I'm going to join a convent.
It's horrific, isn't it?
It's horrific.
Who wants to be called a human boa constrictor?
No one, ever. And gurgling noises, that's not sexy, right?
If he'd written the book before he started gardening, he might not have had the career he's got today.
Liquid noises. It's gross. Absolutely gross. Joining a convent. Blech. Anyway, that's why they were both grinning at me. Who sent that in? It wasn't Alan in Hampshire, you liars. Anyway, let's have a look at the papers. Ugh, I feel ill. Right, let's have a look at the Telegraph. Quite a full front page. Oh, the Times, by the way, it was a picture, you were absolutely right, but it was of Gareth Southgate getting his knighthood, so that was why there was a blank front page on the Times. The Telegraph as well have gone with Southgate. Why Southgate? That's not the biggest name for me.
Well, I would think, like you, that Stephen Fry's a bigger name, but I think they've decided because he's the biggest name. But I mean, there's quite a funny headline on the Telegraph. It says Southgate wins a title.
That is quite funny. That's very good. The only one. Anyway, also on the Telegraph, the PM knights Khan in a reward for failure. And what is interesting is that the Daily Mail has gone with the same line, the same headline, PM's reward for failure, Sadiq Khan is knighted. And that's obviously because this is what a leading Tories have said. So they've said this is a reward, Keir Starmer's rewarding failure now. And a lot of questions about Khan's record on knife crime, on those LTNs that have been removed now,
the ULEZ
scheme, and all of those things. So lots of questions about that. There will be more questions about this. Starmer accused of putting party before country as he hands honours to cronies. We've not seen the full list, so there must be others that are his cronies that have been awarded these. Well,
Emily Thornberry's the sort of neighbouring Islington MP, and she gets she becomes a dame. So there's a few, but as I've said, the Conservatives get honours as well, and the Birmingham Mayor, Andy Street, who was a Conservative, gets an honour. But there's the Daily Telegraph and the Daily Mail really, like many people, don't like the London Mayor. And I mean, I do sort of wonder, if you're the Daily Telegraph and you're trying to appeal, as the Mail is, to the whole country, if you don't live in London, I'm not sure many people care who Sadiq Khan is.
I agree with you. I do agree with you on that. It is extraordinary that they've gone for that, and maybe that he's just that big example. I don't know. Another piece about Blair ignoring migrant warning to open borders. This is interesting, although, again, I don't think it's very shocking. Public sector takes 3 times as many mental health sick days. That should probably just read sick days. I mean, I remember a friend of mine, a really good friend of mine, she worked at the NHS, and she worked in a department that did the menus for people who were there long term, particularly ill people. And she used to just be able to phone in for a duvet day. Literally just go, I don't fancy going in. Well, is that a thing? Oh yeah, no, I can have a duvet day I can have a family day, I can have... And she just reeled off these... You don't even have to put on the, yeah, I'm sorry, I'm not feeling very well. Just phone in and go, I'm having a duvet day. And they go, all right, love.
Yeah, it's a huge problem with workforces, public sector and private sector, but especially in the public sector, about the amount of sick days and people who are off long-term sick, which is a huge addition to the benefits bill that is really worrying government because it's going to become unsustainable at some point. I think it was 2.9 million people are currently off with some kind of sick problem and unable to work. Now, that's unsustainable in the long term, but certainly the Telegraph's talking about 3 times as many mental health sick days, saying that nationwide it's grown by 6% between 2020 and 2022 from 13 million people to 14 million, sorry, 13 million sick days to 14 million sick days. Quite a lot, isn't it? That
is a lot. Yeah, it really is a lot. And either it means that, you know, the public sector is really that awful to work in, or they're just grabbing some extra days off. Interesting stories in the nibs at the bottom. This one is so annoying. Almost 1,000 people head to A&E over hiccups. I mean, what the hell? Emergency rooms are also dealing with a rising number of patients with coughs, earache and headaches, nausea, insomnia and backache. This is a joke. It's a joke. If somebody has hiccups and they go to A&E, somebody should break both their arms and legs and make sure that they're in there for a reason.
It's terrible, but people who can't get GP appointments are just now resorting to going straight to A&E and getting in front of people who are genuinely seriously sick.
Even going to the GP with hiccups is stupid, right? Do they not know the trick of drinking out the wrong side of the glass?
But people go with all sorts of things. I remember meeting a nurse who told me that somebody went to the doctors because they had an ingrowing toenail and they wanted a fresh set of plasters, and if they went to the chemist they'd have to buy the plasters, or if they went to the doctors the plasters would be free. So people do all sorts of weird things.
I know. It is very, very strange. But honestly... I absolutely despair. And I know that a lot of people will go to A&E because they can't get a doctor's appointment. But with hiccups anyway... That is just ridiculous.
And earache. They should be going to the pharmacy.
At
least if you can't get into the GP, go to the pharmacy. They've probably got the answer.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. The other interesting story. This is a huge story. A bespoke jewellery worth more than 10 million has been stolen from a mansion in Primrose Hill. Primrose Hill is gorgeous, isn't it? But in an armed burglary. The raid took place in one of London's most expensive residential streets, where the average house costs 15 million. Detectives say they're searching for a white man believed to be in his late 20s to 30s in connection with the incident. Brilliant. It's a great description.
No. Well, I think...
Not many of those around.
No, but... It sounds like the family were in the house at the time, so really shocking and lucky that they didn't get hurt. But anybody who's got 10 million quid worth of jewellery and cash, that's a lot to have at home, isn't it?
There was some cash taken as well, wasn't there? A huge amount of cash taken too. But, I mean, it is absolutely... you'd think with a house like that, though, it would be really well protected.
And I think there were security cameras, but this person was wearing a balaclava or a mask and wasn't picked up. But thankful that they're all right. But really, if you've got that amount of stuff, you shouldn't have it in your home.
Yeah, put it in a bank somewhere. That's where my millions of jewellery are.
Mine too, in a safety deposit box.
Safety deposit box in Switzerland.
Exactly.
Under a false name.
Yes.
Let's have a look at the Sun newspaper. And... 5 charged now over the death of Liam Payne. Interesting, the judge in Argentina, a female judge in Argentina, she was saying, I find this quite interesting. She's talking almost from a moral point of view rather than a legal point of view. Now, a couple of people have been done for supplying the drugs, which is right. But other people are being charged over not looking after him. And I find that legally quite interesting.
Exactly. I mean, it's almost a sort of lack of duty of care, because they apparently allegedly took him back to his hotel room and left him there. And it's one theory is that he stumbled over the balcony when he was just trying to get out of the hotel and didn't mean to be going over the balcony. But yes, it's one thing to sort of facilitate somebody's death by giving them drugs that kill them, but it's quite another if you just said, oh, you know, he's being really difficult, let's just get him back to the hotel room, he'll be fine there. So it'd be very interesting to see when that goes to trial, if it goes to trial, how it plays out, because it's one thing to have a deliberate hand in somebody's death, but this is almost the sin of not doing anything.
And I'll be very interested to see what law that comes under, and maybe there is in Argentina that thing, but you know, basically the judge said, look, they should have known better. You don't leave somebody who's as incapacitated and vulnerable as Liam Payne was on his own in a room with a balcony, but I don't know where that crosses a legal line.
Yeah, and he'd been very difficult to manage. He'd been sort of kicking off in the hotel foyer, and I think
you might be tempted to not stay with him if he's being aggressive or whatever.
Well, exactly. There are pictures of the room showing the room has been sort of smashed up to some extent, and 2 of the 5 people, I think, one is a hotel receptionist and one is a hotel manager. So it makes you, it's a very interesting potential. We don't know how the law works out there, but if you're a potential hotel manager or hotel receptionist, you suddenly find yourself going to trial over somebody's death. That's not really what you signed up for when you start to do the job. So law probably operates differently over there. It'd be very interesting to see how it works, but it's going to clearly be a very high-profile case.
It's very, very interesting, and yes, of course, they should have stayed with him. In hindsight, we know that, but I don't know how they're going to ever prove that. Vincent, thank you.
Pleasure.
Thank you. It's been wonderful to see you. It's been wonderful to share this studio with you over the last year. I hope we can continue to do the same.
Absolutely. Look forward to it.
Wonderful. Have a wonderful, happy New
Yes,
Year.
And have a very good Happy New Year's party.
Oh, we will. Right, coming up, though, what we're going to be talking about in a few moments' time is not going to be Alan Titchmarsh's sex stuff. Dave has actually sent a message saying, I've just joined the show. I've had a few Christmas beers, but Alan Titchmarsh sex tapes, blimey. They're not sex tapes of Alan Titchmarsh. Let me be absolutely clear about that. Don't want to get sued. They are readings from his book, The Sex Scenes. Anyway, we're not talking about that. What we're talking about is 2024, and thank goodness it's over to some degree, but what were your highlights? What was the best thing about 24? What was the worst thing about 24? I'd love to hear your points of view. Join in the conversation and give me a call, 0344 499 1000.
Size and liquid noises.
I spoke with His Majesty the King to request the dissolution of Parliament, and we will have a general election on the 4th of July.
I have just returned from Buckingham Palace to form the next government of this great nation.
Take a look at what happened.
I immediately knew it was very serious, that we were under attack.
The time has come, and this surely is England's time. Williams, who scores, and Spain lead. A shot from distance is in. It is Cole Palmer. Low ball in on the far ball, slides it in.
An absolute killer of a goal.
I agree with the protest, but I don't think the violence was anywhere near necessary.
No, I mean, I don't think anyone, Nigel, would ever think that the violence was the answer at all.
אזרחי ישראל, אנחנו במלחמה.
I probably took a bullet to the head because of the things that they say about me.
If Donald Trump were president, Putin would be sitting in Kyiv right now.
In Springfield, they're eating the dogs. The people that came in, they're eating the cats.
The Liberal left couldn't understand that this man could be anything other than the great newsreader, a man of integrity.
Is it possible in any way, shape or form that Keir Starmer...
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on the app, on your mobile, the home of common sense. This is Talk.
Good morning. It is Petrie here with you, and just to let you know that today, it being New Year's Eve, right? I'm doing the programme tonight between 10 and 1. I've never done a New Year's Eve programme before because I've always... well, this is the first time actually... Yeah, first time I've actually had a late night show. That's probably not the greatest boast ever. But I also, when I've done other shows, I've been earlier, or I've been chosen to do earlier shows. And in fact, this year I would have done another. But I thought, no, do you know what? This year I'm going to do my own show. And I'm going to do it over New Year's, and we're going to enjoy it. So if you haven't got a party to go to, maybe you're up in Edinburgh. Sorry, I think that's health and safety bonkersness, but there you go. Then you've got a party here. We're going to try and make it fun and silly and all of those things. Bringing the dog in. He will be wearing a tuxedo, so if you've never seen a Shih Tzu in a tuxedo before, what can I say? I want to hear from you as well. I'd like pictures in your finery or your animals in their New Year's or Christmas outfits even. I bought my dog a red woolly jumper for Christmas. It's already in the bin. So that's as much as I can tell you about that. So your pets, all of those things, I'd love to share. I'd love you to share. And also, actually, if you've got somebody, I never do this, ever do this, but if you've got somebody you want to wish a Happy New Year to, you can do it through the programme. I might get into trouble for that, but I don't care. Because you know why? The bosses, they're all checked out. They're not even listening. So we can do what we like tomorrow night. And I'll probably lose my job if one of them is listening, but we can do what we like. So call, join in. You can really we'll just have a bit of fun. And also, I'm going to open myself up here. If there's any... I've always fancied being an agony aunt. Always. When I grow up, that's what I want to be. So if you've got any questions... You want me to fix your life for you, I'm the last person you should ask, in all honesty. But if you would like me to give you some advice, I'm really happy to do that. In fact, I'd be thrilled, because that's what I've always wanted to be, is an agony aunt. So any questions, or any other questions, we're just going to leave it open. It's up to you. It's your programme. It is your programme tomorrow, so or tonight. So call me. Say what you want, do what you want. Well, apart from swearing and all the legal stuff, we can't do that. But everything else goes. So that's what I've decided, really. It's a risk. I'm aware of that. But I don't care. Fed up with 2024. I want it gone. So we're going to enjoy the journey together. So if somebody asks you, oh, you're on your own again this year, say no. Got a party to go to. Thank you. And do join in. It will be fun, I promise you. We're gonna try. We're gonna try and make it a bit of a laugh. Meanwhile, as we say hello to 25 this time tomorrow, we are saying goodbye to 24 now. What has been the best of 24 for you? What has been the best of 24 for you? And what has been the worst of 24 for you? And honestly, even asking you that question, I can't think of a single thing that swings me in either direction. Don't know. The worst? Don't know. The best? Not sure. It's been a bit of a year, hasn't it? So look, let's try and figure out other things. This would be more fun. Who for you is the biggest disappointment of the year? The biggest disappointment of 2024? Give me a call. 0344 499 1000. I want to know who is the biggest disappointment for you in 2024. An anticlimax of the year. I mean, I have to... Sarah Vine, I thank you for this. Hypocrite of the year. Suckers of the year. These are the ones I really like. I really like these ones. And guilty pleasure of the year, right? So give me a call. What was, rather than going for the best or the worst, which is, they're quite difficult to think of, right? What was your guilty pleasure of the year? What did you do? What was your guilty pleasure? Go on, tell me. Use this as a confession. I won't tell anyone, I promise. Guilty pleasure of the year. Maybe it was watching I'm a Celebrity. I didn't watch it. Maybe it was, I don't know. I tell you what's really good at the moment, guilty pleasure. It's a game show called The Beast. Is it The Beast? Yeah. Oh, it's so good. It's so good. It's horrible, but it's brilliant. It's a bit like Squid Games, which I loved, that film, that TV series. And Squid Games 2, not sure about that. But it's a bit like that, but it's a real live contest with a load of Americans. It will crack you up. It is absolutely brilliant. So that's only just now. But that's my guilty pleasure. I really love it. So give me a call. Tell me your guilty pleasure of the year. Disappointment of the year. It's got to be Labour, hasn't it? Isn't that the disappointment of the year? Oh no, Kaz, what have you done? Oh, that looks painful. Kaz has just sent me a photograph of her foot and her ankle. Oh, that looks painful. She's twisted her ankle or gone over on it. It's a pretty colour, though. That'll go a really nice black and purple. Oh, right, here we go. The biggest disappointment for me is Prince Andrew. He has done so much damage to people and the royal family. A self-pig of a human being. It's a self-pig. I like it. Oh, yeah, this is from Kaz. Finishing off the year with a fractured foot. Eek. Happy New Year, Petrie and Bailey. I'll try to dip your toe in tomorrow. Lots of love. Starmer government was the biggest disappointment. My guilty pleasure was the relaunch of the pirate station Laser 558. Ooh. I'm so sorry about your foot, Kaz. How the heck did you do that? Ouch. So your biggest disappointment of the year, or your best or worst of the year. So disappointment of the year. What else did I say? A guilty pleasure of the year and hypocrite of the year. Let's go with that. So guilty pleasure, hypocrite and disappointment of the year. Give me a call, 0344 499 1000, or you can message me the word talk and then your message to 87222. I have to say, legally obliged, that calls are charged at national rate and fiddly with the text as well. Right, let's take a call. And Paul has called from Wolverhampton. Paul.
Good morning, Petrie.
Good morning, my love. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Now I'm better than I was. I've gone down that damn virus, but I'm a lot better now.
Oh, no. Thank you for my card, by the way.
Did you get it?
I did. Fabulous photo as well.
Yeah, that's me looking like a 20-year-old, really, when I'm 52 next month. My dad says I need to grow up.
No, don't ever grow up. You can grow old, but don't grow up, ever. That is against the rules.
Oh, okay, bless you. Oh, I love it. I'm glad you got it.
No, I did, and I really appreciated it, and I'm sorry for what you've been through. It's absolutely horrible. But you're such a lovely boy, and I honestly, I think the world of you, and thank you.
Bless you.
Thank you for sharing that with me.
Really kind. No, bless you. So, my year, obviously, for what you read, has been horrendous.
It's been awful, yeah.
And it's not getting any better. My mum also ended back up in hospital on Christmas. I didn't see her Christmas Day or Boxing Day. She got this virus, and she's obviously being checked for dementia now. So it's a long process. So my year's been horrendous, but I'm going to say one of the best things out this year, and I just said to your lady on the switchboard, was talkTV and listening to you on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, because if I ever get fed up or bored or lonely, I just put you on and I just forget everything else that's gone on in the day, and it feels like everything's going to be fine. So it's just really nice.
Oh, bless your heart. Well, hopefully it feels like you're listening to a mate, and that's what I've always wanted. That's what I've always wanted it to be. Just,
I tell loads of people about you, loads at work, yeah.
Oh,
I will be watching tomorrow night because I'm not going out tomorrow. I don't particularly like New Year's.
I don't like New Year's. No. I really don't like New Year. I don't like being told to have a good time. No,
because you think, it's like it's forced, and then you're not really actually having a good time, and you think, oh, I've got to get drunk and be friendly with everybody, and you speak to all these people that you're never going to see again.
No, exactly that. I mean? Can't be bothered. Can't be bothered.
I'd rather sit and have a gin and tonic with you and sit in front of the telly and watch it.
Wonderful. I'm so glad you're able to come to the party, because I would have put you on the guest list straight away. So it's lovely to talk to you, and again, I appreciate the call.
You.
All right,
You're
my darling.
welcome.
And I will, hopefully, we'll see you in the new year together. So we'll enjoy that.
We will do. You take care, my love.
Happy New Year to Paul. Oh, bless him. That's so sweet, isn't it? So, let's talk to Heather before we go to the break. Heather, hello, darling. You all right?
Hello. My guilty pleasure is being listening to Samson's Lovely Mortal on audio books on Echo Dot.
Yeah, don't listen to an Alan Titchmarsh sex scene, though, all right? If you listen to an audio book, just...
I'll be listening to an audiobook, Samson's Lovely Mortal by Tina Folsom.
Oh, is that one of those...
It's racy.
Oh, it's one of those romance novels with racy sex scenes.
Yes, but it's just Standard books from Tina Folsom. Have you heard of them?
No, it's not. I read books like Who Will Defend Europe. That's the sort of book I read. So, but the racy sex scenes. Have you ever read an Alan Titchmarsh novel? I'm sure the novels are really good, but the sex scenes are absolutely awful.
No, I'm into vampire romance.
Oh.
Yes,
there's a lot of people into vampire romance. What is it about vampire romance?
I'm into Discovery Witches and what's the other one? Twilight. I'm into Twilight as well.
What is it about vampires that are sexy though? What is that? What is so romantic?
It's when you fall in love with a vampire, it's that blood bond. When it comes to the marriage, where you suck each other's blood forever, and the bond of the relationship is forever, and it's a lifelong happiness together, marriage, and being with the only one person in your life, and you got that person forever, and
that you see that the thought of having one person forever actually terrifies me, so that wouldn't do it for me. But it is all that. Is it about the passion and because I don't understand the vampire lust thing, but I do know that it's a huge genre and people love it, particularly women. It's that being controlled.
Discovery of Witches.
Yeah, I know. I do know of the Discovery of Witches. I don't think I've watched it or read it though.
Oh, you should do it. Absolutely fantastic. Season 1 and 2 and 3 is absolutely amazing. It is the best thing I've ever watched.
Really?
In the vampire stories. And one thing about Twilight. Have you heard of Twilight? It's an American movie.
Yeah, I know of Twilight. There was a few movies. Isn't that vampires and werewolves?
Yeah.
Yes.
Vampires and werewolves and human.
Yeah, this is a genre that has never really appealed to me, and so I've not watched any. It's sort of the witches and the vampires and stuff like that. It's not really my thing, but I don't know because I've not given it a try.
Genre.
Yes,
it's not your genre.
It's not really.
Not your genre.
Yeah, it's not really my thing. I read a lot of autobiographies and stuff like that, really, or factual books is my thing.
I could some of the factual stuff as well, but I like.
Oh no, you've got to have your brain downtime, and that's when I watch programs like The Beast, which is brilliant, and I think it's on Prime. I'll get my team to look that up in a moment. It's so good. But it's that's the sort of thing I watch, is sort of human nature stuff more.
Yeah.
So listen, Heather, are you going to be able to join in the party tomorrow?
Oh.
Tonight?
You know what? Tomorrow night I'll be in my bed alone. I'll be watching you.
You're not alone,
my
Heather.
love.
You're not alone. You're part of the party. That's the whole point of doing this show.
Hey, do you know what? I spoke to Kevin O'Sullivan on 20th of December because he had a drinks segment because it was his special Christmas show. And he was absolutely fantastic.
Was he?
Yeah.
I won't be able to drink, but my guests will probably be plastered. So it's going to be interesting, and probably the team.
James Will gets better because what I've heard from Andre on last Friday that James Will's not well.
He's out of ICU and he's home for New Year's Eve. So he's on the mend.
Brilliant.
Yeah, he's on the mend.
Do you know one thing about you guys? You're all my friends. I love you all so much.
And that is the whole point of radio. That is what it was invented for, and that's why we love it.
Radio and TV talk is the best.
Ah, well, listen, do join the party. So if anybody says, are you on your own, Heather? Go, no, I've got a party. So stuff you, and you can eat.
I'll be in your company.
Yeah, of course. And it's going to be bonkers.
Course, because you're one of my friends too.
Of course I am, Heather. Blimey, I'd be devastated if you said otherwise. Heather, I will see you later on, or this time tomorrow. We'll be at that party together. And for those of you who are wondering what I'm talking about with the party is here. The party's at Talk. It's for all those people who, like me, normally do nothing on New Year's because it's just horrendous out there. So I didn't want anyone to be alone. I normally go to bed at about 10 o'clock on New Year's Eve, but I'm not. I'm on air tomorrow or tonight, 10 until New Year's Day, 1 o'clock. And it's just going to have a party. And like I said, I can't answer for my guests. I know that I can't drink, but the team and the guests falling all over the place. So someone's got to be the grown-up in the room, and unusually, it's got to be me. So make sure if you've got Edinburgh cancelled, everywhere's cancelled. This isn't cancelled. This is a party right here, and I would love your company. So make sure you join me tonight, 10 until 1.
across the UK. On DAB+, on YouTube, on the app, on your mobile. The home of common sense.
Hi there, good morning to you. I just need to correct myself. It's not called The Beast, it's called Beast Games. And it's on Prime, so Amazon Prime, so Prime Video. It's so good. Just makes me shout at the telly. Stupid people. I nearly swore then. But it's for me, it's just hilarious. It's my kind. If you want to understand me a little bit better, watch that and you'll know exactly where I come from. Right, there's loads of messages. I just want to read those before I get to the calls. Hi, Petrie. It's Steve, Grim Reaper from Grantham here. I hope you had a good Christmas. I did, thank you. I'd just like to say that Kaz was actually spending Christmas with me when she fractured her foot. Steve. She did it in a friend's bathroom and kept quiet about it until the next day because of her pride. A daft thing she is, but she is a wonderful person. So there you go, Kaz. That is really decent of you, though, not to spoil anybody else's time. But blimey, that foot looks really sore. Ouch. So thank you for that, Steve. Debbie says the biggest hypocrite is Angela Rayner. Yes, another blooming champagne socialist. For me, she profited by buying her council house and is now trying to stop tenants buying their properties. Big hypocrite. And she said, my guilty pleasure was just watching Australia Love Island. I can't believe I'm admitting to it. That is so naughty, isn't it? But anyway, look, why not? That's guilty pleasures are guilty pleasures, aren't they? But watch Beast Games, it's so good. Listen, before I go to the calls, I just want to hear Emily, who's left a voice note on WhatsApp. Let's have a listen to Emily.
Hello, Emily from Scotland here. The worst thing about 2024 for me was losing my dog about 2 months ago.
Oh.
Not a close second, but second would most definitely be Keir Starmer. And that's basically how I would sum up 2024 for me. Enjoying the show.
Oh, bless you, Emily. Oh, there's people who don't understand that losing a dog or losing a beloved pet, it's just the most painful thing. My heart breaks for you. Every time I look at my little dog who's 10 now, I go, no, he's going to live forever. That's what I've decided. He's just that dog that is never ever going to happen to him. That's just that. It's the only way I can sleep at night. Bringing him in tonight. So if you've never seen Bailey before, he's so cute. And he'll be wearing a tuxedo. I've got to find that. Oh, I know where it is. It's in my knicker drawer, actually. I saw it today. So he's going to be wearing a tuxedo. Right, let's go to the calls. I want to see your pets dressed up for Christmas and New Year as well. And you, send in your pictures. I'm going to put them on the telly, and I don't care what the boss says. Right. Robert is in Hertfordshire. Robert, good morning.
Yeah, good morning. I'm not going to wish you Happy New Year yet. I'll do that tomorrow.
Yay!
No,
are you joining the party?
Today.
You joining the party?
Of course I am. Oh, yeah,
good
love
man.
a party.
Yeah.
Love a party. I started on a good note. Well, guess what? We're getting a puppy next year.
What?
Well, yeah.
What kind? When?
A beagle.
Oh, I love beagles. I love it. We had a beagle cross when I was growing up called Heidi.
Oh, right. I finally persuaded my wife. We're both 72. We both moved into this lovely bungalow. We've had a not very nice year. I don't think anybody has, but I need something to look forward to. And but we're boxer people. All my family,
I love boxers. Yeah.
And we've only, my other one, he died about 25, 30 years ago. I've not even got over that yet,
no.
But with beagles, they live to about 50. He's going to outlive me,
They are wonderful, mad dogs. They are absolutely... And the puppies are the most beautiful thing you've ever seen. They are stunning. Have you got a name yet?
Sorry. Yeah, I've got a name. Buddy.
Oh, nice. Buddy the Beagle.
Yeah, Buddy the Beagle, nice. I think. Although sometimes you have to wait until you've seen them, don't you?
Yeah. The thing is with beagles is they need a lot of exercise, so it'd be good for you. Get you out of the house.
Well, we've got a massive big garden. We live by the golf course. I mean, it's quite sort of middle classy up here, but a massive garden we've got.
Lovely.
The thing is, I've been doing a lot of reading on them, and the thing is, because they're hounds, really, basically. And the trouble is, if you let them off the lead and they get the sniff of something, they're off. They're gun dogs. They're soft jaws, so they won't rip anything to pieces.
No. Heidi would disappear, our Beagle Cross, and she would just be gone for days. Literally, she would just, like you said, get a sniff of something, and she was gone. She always came back. I mean, we never knew where. She always came back having rolled in fox poo. So you knew she was hunting, but she would always come back.
I've been on the phone today. She's the top breeder. I don't really like dog breeders. I just don't like them. They're not very good with human beings, are they?
No.
But she was quite nice. But this lady has won best of breed for the last, I think, for the last 8 years running. Her and her sister run this. It's up in Lincolnshire. I can't remember what her name is, but they're very showy, if you know what I mean. They cost you between £1,500 and £1,800.
Yeah, they're not cheap, but at least from a reputable breeder, especially if they're kennel club, and it sounds like she probably is, then you're getting a really good, healthy dog. I want to get another dog this year. Next year as well.
I think I've got to train myself as well. No more tidbits like I used to give my boxers. I'm going to be proper, because we used to give my boxer a Sunday dinner.
And beagles turn to fat really quickly. They are gutsy.
Do they really?
Oh yeah.
Do they really?
Yeah. They will just eat neat, and they like Labradors, and they can go really fat.
Yeah,
so
my son has a
you
Labrador.
need.
They're greedy.
Yeah, they are greedy.
You go down bins and everything.
Yeah.
That's the trouble.
Yeah, but they are beautiful dogs. I'm so jealous. I want to see photographs when it happens. All right.
Yeah, I will. Well, I said to the lady, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to rush right into it. So she's got a couple of litters. I thought, how long are they pregnant for, Doc?
Not long, about 10 weeks.
Oh, right.
I think, something like that.
Yeah, she's going to have a litter ready by about late February, March, which will suit me. I think early spring will be a really nice time,
Lovely.
And then you've got the summer then, haven't you? And,
I'm so excited for you, Robert. That is lovely.
Yeah. Right. The other thing I was going to say to you, guilty pleasures, but before that, I'm feeling a bit smug because you told me you said a fact on there that Emily Thornberry has been made a dame, or she's going to be made a dame.
Mm-hmm.
Well, my claim to fame is I come from her constituency, South Islington, and my claim to fame is I told her to F off. Two general elections on the trot. Yeah, I did. Yeah, that's my claim to fame.
Oh, right. But anyway, next time it'll be off Dame Emily. All right. Just make sure you get the name right.
Well, the last time was when Corbyn was running for, and she knocked on my door, and I opened the door, and I told her to F off, I don't vote for Marxists, and all her minions, they scattered. But to be fair, I'll tell you what, though, when you look at she's quite right-wing now, isn't she? You know what I mean? I think that's why she's not in the cabinet, because she owns too much property.
Yeah, I mean, look, they just blow with the wind, don't they, anyway? So it's just...
Oh, she's chameleon. Oh, yeah, she's a chameleon. She's a survivor.
Yeah, and also, they're all loaded. All we understand is rubbish. I don't know why I put on a northern accent then, but you know what I mean. I always think of that when I think of Labour. I don't know why. So what's your guilty pleasure then, Robert?
Right, I'm almost embarrassed to tell you, but it's reruns of On the Buses. And your researcher didn't even know what On the Buses was.
Oh, they're so young, so Robert. What can you say? They're children next door. I mean, seriously. I'm amazed they finished their homework in time to come to work. But yeah, On the Buses.
It's sexist. Everything's wrong with it.
Everything is wrong with it. Where can you watch it?
You can watch it on Prime. They got the film on Prime, but they wanted to. The trouble with Prime is you go, that looks a good film. Then all of a sudden they want like £10 off you to watch a film that was made 10 years ago.
I know. That actually really annoys me. I wanted to watch something the other day and I clicked on it. It was like, oh, you have to pay. I was like, I'm not paying per episode. Get lost.
Oh, no, I already pay.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. And that BBC one, again, I'm like, no, we already pay the licence. I'm not paying again to watch stuff on that, so they can get stuffed as well.
Another highlight of my Christmas was I got a Christmas card from Nigel Farage asking me, well, obviously, he's asked thousands of people, it wasn't a personal one, would I be interested in running to be a councillor? Because I joined the Reform Party just because I was to cheer myself up. I'm not, you know, I just wanted to cheer myself up. So I got this letter and it said they're looking for candidates who want to run for local council. But what you don't realise, there ain't going to be no, you know, they stopped it. The Labour government stopped. There's not going to be any.
Yeah, they're trying to stop the May elections. Yeah, by going, oh, we're redistributing the councils. So yeah,
from Russia with love. From Russia with love.
Yeah, thank you. I totally agree with that.
It's scary, isn't it?
Honestly,
scary, isn't it?
It's. Look, I do have the words, but I'd be fired if I used them. Robert, I'm so excited about your beagle and to have your company tomorrow night or tonight for New Year. That's what I meant. Quick break. Back in a sec.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on the app, on your mobile, the home of common sense. This is Talk.
Hi there, good morning to you. It's Petrie here with you, and we're talking about what was your guilty pleasure for 2024, or your highlights or your lowlights. So this one's come through from Francis. It said the worst news of 2024 was reading of the death of Howard Hughes. That was very, very sad. I always watched his unexplained programmes. He was amazing. Indeed, I concur. And this one from Angie brought a little tear to my eye. It's the sweetest thing. Thank you. It really is the loveliest thing to say. Petrie, you're my highlight of the year, as it's 2024. I discovered you one sleepless night. In this year, you've been the mum I've missed with great advice, the sister that I've wanted to have my back, and the daughter I'd be proud of having. How beautiful is that? Thank you, Angie. Many thanks for keeping me sane on what's been a difficult year, and here's to a great new year to you and your gorgeous pooch and family. Thank you, Angie. Honestly, that is the most beautiful thing to have said to me. Thank you. And Stacey is a new caller, and she's calling from Manchester. Hello, Stacey.
Hello, Petrie.
How lovely for you to phone in. Happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year's Eve.
Happy New Year's Eve. It is now, yeah.
Yeah. So, do you know, the question... Oh, I just want to say thank you to you all. I've only been watching you the past 3 weeks and just discovered you.
Oh.
And to be honest with you, all of you have saved my life because I don't watch TV through the day. And I don't watch much. I only watch EastEnders.
Yeah.
And then I don't watch anything else after that. So it's quite a long day for me, to fill. So now I'm pottering about me palace, call it my little flat. I love it. Listening to you, I've got it on quite loud, and I just love it.
Oh, that is brilliant. That's exactly...
Yeah, honest to God, thank you to you all.
Well, no, thank you to you, because the whole point of radio particularly is to make that connection with people and to make you feel like you're part of the conversation. And I'm so thrilled. Yeah. Makes me so happy.
I agree with most of the stuff that you're all talking about. And you brought me up to date with politics, which... Because I don't really watch the news.
Nah.
I think, well, what's the point? I get the news. My mum will if anything's going down, my mum will tell me.
That's the best thing, isn't it?
It's caught me up to date with everything. Do you know what I mean? I feel quite brainy now.
Oh, that's brilliant. Don't rely on me, obviously, but I mean, you'll be all right with defence stuff with me, but anything else, I make it up. Anyway, no, I don't. I don't really.
You're doing a good job. You're doing well, girl.
Oh, well, I'm really pleased to have you as a new listener, Stacey. I'm thrilled.
Yeah, thank you.
And you are a very young nana.
I certainly am. I'm going to be 47 on the 7th of January.
Happy birthday.
My daughter, she was born in the 90s. It was the year of... Well, I didn't have her because I was young or anything, but it was a year of... She was born 96. A lot of young girls were having babies young then. It's different now.
It is different now.
Anyway, so I was 18, and I was married. Well, got married. I was with my husband for 26 years, you know what I mean? But... Yeah, so she's 28 now. So we're like best friends, and she's just had her first child, a granddaughter called Violet.
Oh.
Violet. I know. So, and also, with the question tonight, I never thought about last year, really, because it's been quite a blur. I think it's been quite a blur for everybody, and all of a sudden it's like here, the end, and everyone's like, oh my God, it's all been quite a rush. So you've made me think about my year asking that question. So I thought, well, my highlight is obviously watching Violet grow up.
How old is she now? How old is Violet?
1.5. 1.5.
Oh.
Yeah, so for a Christmas present this year, I got her, it's a wooden kitchen. It's like it goes in the corner of your living room. Well, it took over my daughter's living room, but it's high enough for her for a 1.5-year-old.
Wow.
So, it's going to be nice watching her play with that now, and things like that.
Oh, that is lovely. And to be so young and be able to enjoy that.
Oh, my God, I know, yeah.
I mean, you're going to be the trendiest, youngest nana at the school gates, aren't you?
Yeah. Well, I'm a nana. That nana runs for the family, the name Nana. But behind the scenes, I'm a grandma. Well, I hope to think I am anyway.
Well, everyone's going to think that she's yours.
Well, they do actually sometimes.
Yeah.
And, I just don't want to disturb the conversation. It's just like, oh, well, it's too much to go into. It's somebody passing by, oh, look at your daughter. It's like, oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, I'll take that. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. But there was a woman when my boy was at primary school, and there was a woman there who everybody thought was the grandma, but she was actually the mum because she'd had a baby in her... She was called a menopause baby or something, I think. So she was in her 50s and fell pregnant naturally. But everybody thought that she was the nana, and she wasn't. She was the mum. So it was just really sort of, she wasn't expecting it. It was, she'd done with her family, she'd done all of that, and was just, the menopause baby. So that was it. Yeah. So you'll be the other way around.
I do walk around with a sign on my head saying, this is actually my daughter.
Yeah.
It's great, but people are going to think that, aren't they?
What?
They're thinking, that's all.
That's so cool, though. Have you had any guilty pleasures in 24 that you can think of?
Okay, so I know I've not had long to think about my answers, but I have got answers. So the guilty pleasure's got to be EastEnders. Never thought I'd get back into a soap, and I've not watched soaps for about 15 years.
Yeah, I got out of it, and I think it's very difficult to jump back in, isn't it?
Yeah. But I got back in last Christmas when it was all going down. I thought, So I carried it on. So that's a guilty pleasure, I suppose. I've got some, hang on a minute. Oh, I binge-watched the Amish, you know, the Amish programme on Discovery.
Oh, yeah, when the kids leave.
It's like you tell somebody you're watching an Amish programme and they're like, look at you like your dad.
No, I know the one. I watched that as well. It's quite old now.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a guilty pleasure. I enjoyed it.
Oh, you've disappeared. Where have you gone?
I'm here.
Have you hit mute? There you go. You're back in.
But I have got some nice pleasures to talk about. I can't come up with anything juicy for guilty. I'm sorry. I'm guilty for that. That's all I can say. You know what I mean?
What are your other juicy pleasures?
Well, my nicety pleasures is, I've got a recent one actually. My daughter bought me, this only happened last night, this pleasure, right? She bought me for Christmas, you know, Planter 39 shampoo and conditioner.
Yes, I've heard of that.
For women over 40. Well, obviously, I'm turning 47. I thought, right, come on, start looking after your hair, start taking care of yourself properly. So I thought, because she said to me, what do you want for Christmas, Mum? I went, leave it with me. I said, and I thought to myself, I'm really going to think about this present for something for myself, you know what I mean? Not just think, well, just say this, that. So I had to think about it. I thought, well, I want to start looking after my hair, so I have that Planter, shampoo, conditioner, and the thing that you're leaving on your roots.
Oh, the mask?
Yeah, it's like a caffeine tonic. Well, I was over the moon last night doing my hair and everything. I thought, but this is it now. I'm on point. You know, obviously nothing's happened yet.
But that's a pleasure. Look, we've got to take pleasure where we can find it.
That is a new pleasure. And then also this year, a mega pleasure of mine is plants. I am a plant mum. But what's funny is I got my place, and then the plants that I was getting was all plastic, but, you know, really good plastic plants.
Yeah.
Then I thought, Jesus Christ, here's me going on, I love plants. Man up and get a plant, right? So I got a cheese plant from Aldi. Yeah, it was only tiny. I thought, this is it now. I told my mum, I said, Mum, I'm an adult. She went, why? What do you mean? I said, I've got a cheese plant. Oh, I've devoured this cheese plant. And it's coming on.
Oh, my God, they grow massive.
Yeah, well, this is what I want.
Massive. My mum had one called Charlie.
Yeah.
For some reason, she called it Charlie. My mum had and it grew. Yeah, all over the living room that we weren't allowed into.
Yeah. Oh, they grow huge. This is what I want to see. So,
I can't keep a plant alive in the house.
Well, the best plant to have if you can't keep a plant alive is the spider plant. They're the easiest plants ever.
They have lots of babies, don't they?
They have babies, but it's okay. You don't have to, you know, it's fine if you don't know what to do with them and stuff. But the plant itself, you know, I read a book, well, it's going to sound boring. I read a book on plants, right? And it said if you can't keep a spider plant, you may as well smash up pianos.
Yeah, I don't think I could. I'm rubbish with them. I mean, I'm great in the garden. My banana trees are a thing of beauty to behold, and they're wrapped up for winter at the moment. But I think that outside I'm great with plants. Inside, kill them instantly. It's just not worth it.
Like my mum to say. But I've got this summer, and I'm still looking forward to summer with my garden to explore all the outside and see how we get on. So then my first time having my own garden and starting all that.
And then, yeah, plants are a pleasure. They really are. If you get into gardening, it's a real pleasure. Stacey, what has been a real pleasure, not a guilty one, is talking to you. So thank you. Oh, no, thank you. And call again. Join the party tomorrow. Call in. Send photos of your cheese plant and things like that. I'd love to see it. Right, I've got to take a break. I know, we're running out of time. Back in a sec.
across the UK. On DAB+, on YouTube, on the app, on your mobile. The home of common sense. This is Talk.
Hello there, and a good morning to you. It's Petrie here with you. Andrew in Salisbury, sort of echoing what I was saying. Best thing of 2024, New Year's Eve into 25. I agree. What a rubbish year, Andrew says, or words to that effect. We've got a fabulous picture here, which I'm hoping we can share, but we can not yet, but we're going to hopefully get this before the end of the programme. It's from Sonia, and it's a picture of Gizmo, the dog, dressed as Santa Claus, which is wonderful. So I'll show that to you if we can bring it to you. I'm just going through. Nikki has said, the best and most amazing thing of the year for me was becoming a nana. Worst was putting a lot of weight on that I'm struggling to get rid of. Another worst was being chuffed that Labour got in, then realising how bad they are and the tyranny of it all. At 52, I woke up. Thank you for that, Nikki. Susan says, disappointment, not really, as no expectation. Labour. Hypocrite, Angela Rayner. Guilty pleasure, Tiles Crisps. I don't know those. That's from Sue in Cambridge. I love crisps. R has said, it's my partner's birthday, so wish him happy birthday, as everyone forgets and has to share birthday presents and Christmas presents, and it's New Year. That is rubbish. Happy birthday to R's partner. If I got your name, I would have read that out. But happy birthday to you. It is miserable having to share Christmas, New Year and all that nonsense. Ooh, oh, square crisps. Nice. I suppose tiles. Yeah, hence the name. They look good. Happy birthday. And to anybody else who happens to have a birthday around this time of year, it is pants, isn't it? Bad planning on behalf of your parents. But a happy birthday to you. Anybody who wants to wish Happy New Year to anybody tomorrow, send me the details. I don't normally do it. Or phone up and I'll let you do it. Come on, I don't care, it's fine. Derek was, hi Petrie, the best moments of 2024 was Labour getting into power, green power, and then laughing emojis. I'm not sure he means that really. 2024, where council tax is more than many people's annual income tax bill. This is unsustainable. How did we get into this situation? It's basically double taxation. I agree. And then this one said, hi Petrie, your last caller, Stacey, said you said she was a young nana. I was a nan at 41, 42 and 43. That's so young. How cool for your grandkids. Amazing. Love your shows, thank you. And this one from Zarina says, my daughter is 22 in a couple of days. When she was 5, I put her into a holiday club while I went to work. The sports centre manager asked who would be picking her up. I said, me. And then he wrote... oh, dear. He wrote down grandma and said it out loud. I corrected him and he's never looked me in the eye since. That is so embarrassing. Awful. But thank you for the laugh, Zarina. Absolutely brilliant. Made me laugh. Right, let's go back to your calls now. And John is in Brighton. Hello, John.
Hello.
Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm all right. I'm surviving after this year, but I'm all right.
Oh, God, what a year. Honestly, I don't think anybody's got any good highlights, have they, really?
Be prepared. I think next year could be a lot flipping worse, but there we go.
Let's just have one day of hope. Just one.
Yeah, one ray of sunshine, eh?
Yeah, exactly. So, John, your highlight of the year?
It's got to be this. I'll give you a clue.
Well, it wasn't getting a record contract, was it?
No.
Darts.
Yes.
Yes. So
Luke
Littler, who I still don't believe is only 20 or whatever his age. He looks about...
He's 17.
17? He's 17?
Yeah.
No. Rubbish.
He is.
Yeah, rubbish. I don't believe it.
And he's just gone through to the quarter-final.
How is that? How is he a 17-year-old?
I know, it's hard to believe, isn't it? I mean, you know what that kid has done for darts, Petrie. Unbelievable.
I agree with you, and you see it more mainstream now, isn't it? Because of him.
I mean, put it this way. I mean, if let's think, like 30 years ago, if there was a 17-year-old going to his school and saying, "I'm playing darts," they would have laughed at him and said that was an old man's game.
Yeah. Oh, no, there's absolutely no doubt about it. He has been a brilliant ambassador for the game.
I remember, you know, when it all kicked off last year, because I'm a big darts fan. I always watch darts tournaments. And honestly, when he got into the final, you would have thought England had got into the World Cup final and won it.
Yeah, I think it's because no one can believe he's 17.
I know.
I think that was it. We were all shocked. In fact, one of the newspapers actually printed a copy of his birth certificate because nobody believed it.
Yeah. I mean, what stunned me, I mean, the way everything stopped that night. Everything stopped, didn't it? Every TV channel was covering it.
Bless him.
You know,
yeah,
brilliant.
You're absolutely right. I mean, again, he's done such an incredible thing. He's really legitimised it. I mean, I don't know. I didn't know anything about darts really before. I don't now, to be fair. But they play a lot of it in TalkSport. They've got their own dartboard in a little room. I promise you. And they go in there and they play darts because it's so stressful. So they get to play darts.
I'm actually blind, Petrie. You know me. You've spoken to me before.
Do you play darts though?
I try. I've got a dartboard sitting here.
Yeah. And I'm not saying that as a joke either, because I went to St Dunstan's at one time, which is it's a blind place for.
It's not there now. It's not there now.
Is it gone?
Yeah, it's gone.
But it was absolutely brilliant, St Dunstan's for blind ex-military, and the things that those men and women were able to do were unbelievable. And we're talking blindness along with limb loss and all of this.
It's great,
still
isn't it?
Unbelievable, incredible. I've always, like I've told you before, my great uncle was blind and my grandmother was blind as well. So I grew up around it, and I was in awe of their ability. You know, a blind person's ability to do stuff. So
I try and talk the way everybody else does. I mean, for example, like this year, I went out to a pub for the Euros final, and what a joke that was. I mean, we equalised, didn't we? Carl Palmer scored the equaliser, and then the Spanish guy got a flipping offside goal. Well, in my view, it was offside. And when the game finished, Petrie, I swear to God, I've never seen a pub empty so bloody quick. You know, honestly,
shame.
The atmosphere was absolutely electric. Beforehand, you know, because it was a pub in the town centre that I went to. The atmosphere was electric. You know, it was, you know, people playing football in the roads and, you know, everything. And as soon as that bloody goal went in, I swear to God, that was it.
Yeah.
It died.
Oh, no. Death. I mean, these are good highlights. John, I hope you can join us for the party tomorrow night.
Also, I bought myself some new amateur radio kit this year. That's a great highlight for me as well.
Brilliant. Yeah, get involved. You've got a great voice. You've got a great personality. Absolutely perfect. John, lovely to talk to you. And do join the party, New Year's Eve party right here with me. Grant is on the line now from here in London. Hello, Grant.
I'm in Devon.
You're in Devon? Why does this...
I phoned you up a while back and came under the pseudonym of James from London.
That'd be why then.
And I was talking to you about your brother and myself and my alcohol.
Yeah.
Sorted now, all right? Yeah.
So you've sorted yourself out?
Yes, yeah.
Well done.
I went and did the test that you wanted me to do, and done and dusted and happy days. All right. So yes.
Brilliant. I'm very proud of you. That is a good step.
Yes, and my highlight of the year would be Ben Ainsley and that lot getting actually into the America's Cup final, the sailing.
That is amazing. It's really interesting to listen to. A lot of people, the only highlight anybody can point to really is a sporting one. But I think the biggest highlight for you, Grant, is getting on the right path and I'm very pleased for you.
Yeah, 100%. I took everything that when I spoke to you, I'm not going to lie to you. You said